Before we begin, the name is placed on the top right side of the screen. The story begins as it is mentioned that she just wanted to find her family and be loved. A girl kneels in front of a man and states that she is indeed that child from 18 years ago. She is Shulina. He asks her for proof. She wonders if she was asking for the impossible. Her spirit power was completely taken, so it is faint. But she thinks that if it is her father, he will surely recognize her. He told her that she is weak and she is not his child. She is sentenced to the spirit mirror. He turned around as another girl grabbed his arm and called out to him. Shulina stared at her, realizing it was Azella, the one who stole her spirit power and took her life. Her father made it clear that his child died 18 years ago. She begins to accept that child is dead and her father is right. She is a fake, the Princess Shulina, whom everyone called a villainess. The true princess, abandoned in an orphanage due to the Empress scheme, lived a life of loneliness, had all her spirit power stolen by the fake Princess Azella, and ultimately met a tragic end. This is the ending of Princess Shulina that she read. She finds it really sad to think that she ended up possessing someone with such a tragic ending. She thinks that maybe it is because she was often beaten and abused by the orphanage director as a child, but most of the original memories are almost gone now. She was called Patach, and that she would go without dinner tonight. It hurts her. The words that Shulina heard when she met her family. Her father told her that she is not his child, and her brother also refused to consider her as his sister, stating that his only sister is Ella. Now she's aware that this scene becomes her future, but she wants to make sure that she won't live like that. Someone suddenly calls out to her questioning, what is she doing there? It is Tellen. She mentions that if she is done cleaning, she should hurry up and prepare dinner. She is the orphanage director lackey and loves to bully her. Shulina responds that all right, she is coming. Tellen puts her foot in between, causing Shulina to trip and fall before Tellen catches her, causing Shulina to think what is going on, as she knows that Tellen never helps her. Tellen tells her that it's just a mistake and questions if she is okay. Shulina responds that she's fine. She wonders if Tellen is going to bully her again, or did she stick something to her? Tellen grabs her hand and begins to run, stating that of course she is fine, and that she should stop dawdling and get to the dining room. As they get to the dining room, Shulina decides to give her the potatoes and she can do that. Tellen asks her if she can manage. Shulina responds that she cannot reach and she needs a stool. Shulina becomes irritated but decides to get the stool. As she leaves, Shulina realizes now is the time and reaches for her pocket. She is startled as she finds the director's ring in it. She knows that only the director owns a ring like this in the orphanage, knowing that if she gets accused of stealing it, she would be beaten to death. Tellen comes back and right then ends up falling, causing Shulina to be shocked as she just suddenly fell here. Shulina reaches for her and asks her if she is okay, and if she is hurt. Right then the director appears, questioning what is all this noise. The director calls out to Tellen questioning if it's her, but Tellen responds that it was not her. She puts the blame on Shulina. Tellen states that Shulina tricked her as she definitely felt someone tripping her. Shulina is shocked and has tears in her eyes as she asks Tellen how can she say that when she was the first one to worry about her. They murmur that she tripped on her own and is now blaming Shulina. She always bullied them and she lies. They call Tellen a liar before Tellen gets up and tells the director that more importantly, the director should search Shulina's body as she saw something shiny in her pocket earlier, stating that it must be the director's ring. The director becomes angry and calls out to Shulina, mentioning that she fed her, gave her a house and raised her and she dared to steal her ring. Telling her that she has got some nerves, she calls Shulina a thief and steps towards her. She becomes frustrated, yelling to Shulina that she's a thief, but Shulina right then takes off the clothes and states that there is nothing and the director can check it herself. Tellen states that cannot be the case as she definitely saw Shulina steal it. She asks the director to believe her, but then it turns out that Shulina has not been to the director's office today, and she only cleaned the first floor all day. The other people also murmur that she saw her cleaning the first floor too and states that Tellen is definitely a liar. Tellen shouts that maybe Shulina stole it before. Shulina then mentions that Tellen was the one who said that she stole it today, questioning why does she keep changing her story. She finds it strange. They mention that Tellen is the only one who went to the director's office today. The director also states that this seems to be true and drags Tellen. That is when the ring falls on the ground from Tellen. Tellen is shocked knowing that she definitely put it in Shulina's pocket. She realizes that Tellen Shulina was the one who tricked her and put the ring back in her pocket. She begins to yell to the director that it was not her, and she did not do that, stating that it is all Shulina's fault. The director glares at her before slapping her and calling her a wretched creature, mentioning that she raised such a thieving cat, reminding Talon that she fed her and took care of her, and yet she dared to steal from her. Talon states that she did not do it while crying. She shivers before the director raises her hand, but Shulina comes in between and calls out to the director asking her to wait. She mentions that Talon must have some circumstances. The director is not in a good mood as she asks Shulina to step aside. Shulina helps Talon get up while mentioning that if Talon did take something, it was not intentional. The director pushes Shulina away and drags Talon with her, asking her to come with her right now. Talon cries and pleads to the director, not realizing how is this happening. Shulina stands there looking at Talon being taken away, wondering what is going on. She thinks about it and realizes that Talon looked particularly nervous today, and that even her outfit was more elaborate than usual. Clean the orphanage since dawn. She thinks that she is onto something before she remembers Duke Velat, a family that uses a special attribute called sea instead of mana. They were considered a cursed family because people instinctively felt fear just by looking at them. To erase their bad reputation, they had once taken in and temporarily cared for children from the orphanage. And today is the day she realizes that this is an opportunity for her as well to survive. Going forward, it is better to be under the Duke's patronage. She makes sure that she would not live like Shulina. Those who abandoned her are not family. But she is working for a while as she ponders that she is glad to have secured a spot near the main gate. It is worth it to have deliberately taken up a spot near the gate to meet the Duke first, even though her shoulder hurt. People begin to talk about how the carriage is as big as the orphanage, and it is sparkling so much. She notices and realizes that they are here. She fixes her face expression and has a determined look on her face. She goes to open the door and questions who is it. Noticing that this person is the Duke, with black hair and purple eyes, it is definitely Duke Velat. She notices someone standing next to him and wonders if it is his son. She decides to smile a little and calls out to the older brother, telling him that he is so pretty. He finds her fascinating as she questions what is his name. He mentions that his name is Windy. She thinks about the name as she wonders if he could be Windecked. The sup may lead in future due in the original story he turns into a villain after failing to get Azella. Based on the original timeline, she realizes he is 11 years old, but he looks about 15. She calls him older brother as he finds her really fascinating and asks her if she is not scared of him. He tells her that by this point, everyone else would be crying and collapsing from the curse. She knows it must be due to the spirit power which resembles nature and protects the royalty. Being aware that it should protect her from the curse of the Duke's house that causes fear. The Duke asks her how old is she. She counts for a while on her fingers and tells him that she's about to turn 6. They ask her what is her name as she tells them that they should tell the director beforehand. The Duke responds that he will know if he says Velat. He holds her hand as she mentions that she will show him the director's office. They look at her in a very mesmerizing way. After they steps towards the office, she knocks on the door, telling the director that they have guests. The director thanks her for guiding them. She tells the director that it is his Duke. She also informs the director that the Duke is looking for a child to stay with him for a month. The director tells them that it is humble, but they should please wait a moment, as they will find a child worthy of the Duke right away. The Duke tells the director that there is no need as he has her on his arms. He states that he will take this child. The director is shocked. The Duke looks at her and tells her that she will come with him. She is stunned for a while before she smiles and accepts that. While in the carriage, she asks the Duke what would she be doing. Would it be laundry or cleaning? The Duke tells her that she will be treated with great respect in their household, and she will eat delicious food, play, and rest comfortably. She will even be featured in the newspaper. Windy acts. But should not he have asked about that earlier? She is aware that she knew it from the original story, so she did not need to ask. He looks at her and asks her if she is eating well, as she looks like she's already on the brink of collapsing from overwork. Her skin looks withered, as if she has been working too hard. She tries to flex her muscles, stating that she works hard and stay healthy. The Duke tells her that looking at those arms, he will have to prepare only the best for her. His son chuckles, telling the Duke that to fatten up those arms, he will have to go through some hardship. She looks at her smile and becomes really shocked. She finds it really beautiful and wonders if this is the angelic smile. Right then, she's just about to fall before the Duke catches her and asks her if she's hurt. She responds that she is fine and thanks him. She ponders that she was so surprised that she did not expect to be embraced like that. She is aware that her clothes are so dirty. She thinks about how a large embrace that saved her from injury just like a father. But then she shakes her head, telling herself to not have such absurd thoughts. She then looks at Windy Eyes. He tells her that he is not as big as her, as he's also trained as a knight. She thinks that, come to think of it, in the original story, he earned the title of the continent's greatest knight. She tells him that he is so impressive. He questions, but what is the matter? He is told that the other carriage was moving so fast, so they had to dodge. She ponders that a noble should recognize the Duke's carriage, so how can they not apologize when they almost collided with it? Wondering what do they think they are doing? She notices someone as she realizes that person is crying. They are questioned if they should chase the other carriage. The Duke knows the driving so fast that it almost endured a child is unacceptable. But she tells that she's hungry and her stomach is growling. He then tells the person that he should just try further. They have arrived home and she's told that this is where she will be staying for the next month. She is welcomed to the White Rose Mansion. She finds it very overwhelming. Windy tells her that she looks surprised. He tells her to come in and mentions that Dylan is waiting. She questions who is Dylan. It is his younger sibling. She hears a voice suddenly and hides herself in the Duke's arm. She questions what is going on as the Duke tells her it is a camera. The cameraman apologizes for startling her. She looks at this person as she realizes it is not just that a commoner fears a noble. It is if they are suffering from an instinctive fear. She didn't think so. This is the Duke's skirts. She states that she was just surprised at first and tells the cameraman to take a pretty picture. The Duke mentions that he will be leaving now. They are then greeted by the butler of the White Rose Mansion. The Duke asks her what it is. She tells the Duke to let her down. She thanks the butler and tells him that she looks forward to working with him. The butler gets down on one knee and he asks her that if she has any discomfort, no matter how minor, she should please let him know immediately. She thanks the butler as she ponders that he does not seem to dislike her. Someone calls out to her stating that she is so small and cute. It is the maid Lucida. She is told that Lucida will help with most things, so she should get to know her. Lucida asks the Duke if they brought her here in this chilly weather. She tells Lucida that she only has this outfit as Lucida covers her with the blanket. She mentions that she prepared it for the chilly weather, but it could have been thicker. She also asks her if she's hungry. She responds that she is just a little bit hungry before Lucida tells her that she will prepare a meal for her right away. Lucida also mentions that after they eat, they will have a bath and ask her what kind of food does she like. She seems a bit insecure because she does not know many foods, thinking whatever they laugh at her. But the Duke tells Lucida to just prepare the best things available. Lucida then decides to prepare a feast of the most delicious foods for her. She is aware that this is a month-long limited kindness, realizing that she should not get used to this kind of treatment, as her heart is already softening. A person notices her and wonders if it is that child. It is Dylan. He is questioned. Why is he out here? She looks at him and thinks that he must be the second one. She introduces herself properly. She tells him that she is very glad to meet him and thanks him for the invitation. The Duke picks her up, telling her that the floor is cold, and puts her on his lap. He tells her to please have a good time for the next month. Frances her name wrong as she corrects him. She tells him that he heard it at the orphanage earlier too. He tells her that he thought she wanted him to call her that way. She finds it a very foolish thing. She is aware that she is not a baby and wonders what this is. Dylan decorations. Why does he keep calling her Shuli instead of Shulina? Mentioning that they are both the same. How to pronounce a name that she cannot even say herself. She's questioned what is her nickname. The young master tells her that he should say his name first. He introduces himself to her as she tells him that his name is really pretty. He also agrees with her. She wonders what is going on, thinking wise. Everyone in this household treating her so easily. It is like they has disarmed her completely. She didn't think that given that no one has approached him so casually due to the curse so far, it makes sense, thinking it is a pity that such nice people are misunderstood. Dylan asks her nickname as she tells him that she does not have a nickname. The Duke thinks about a nickname and questions. How about Shushu? She finds the name Shushu cute. She wonders if the Duke finds her cute. He tells her it is because she resembles Cream Puff. She questions what is Cream Puff. He mentions that if she gains weight, she will look like a soft bread, so they should go with Shushu. She thinks about bread and realizes that is her first nickname. They even find her cheeks resembling it. They tell her that she will like it once she tries it later. The young master states that he thinks the meal preparation should be done by now and questions if he should go now. He has been given the permission as he picks Shushu up. She ponders that she does not feel bad that the young master seems to like her, but why does it seem like the people in this house are so eager to please her? She's aware that she can walk too. Dylan asks his brother that why is he carrying her like a sack. He responds that he should look at her legs, but if she gets hurt while walking around. He also agrees and states that if no one's around, then he will also carry her. He tells his brother that he is still too weak, so he cannot, and he will only allow it if he can do 1,000 consecutive diagonal cuts. She wonders how do they even do that, but since the young master will be a renowned knight in the future, maybe it is possible. Dylan states that he will work hard to make sure she does not get hurt after a while. Someone mentions that they do look like such a close brother and sister. It's just Lucida, and she thinks about it. She knows it would have been really nice if that was the case. She thinks about it. A family that will protect her loving father and brothers, even a prosperous life. She would have lived comfortably without threats, unlike now where she faces life-threatening dangers as a princess. She knows it would have been better if he was actually family. It is Oak since she met him like this. He tells her that his name might be hard to pronounce, so it is Oak to call him Windy. Dylan also tells her that he will allow her to call him Del especially, reminding her that she is not his sibling, but still, she looks so earnest, that it is special. She thanks him and calls him brother. Right then they hear a sound as they wonder what is that sound. It seems to be from her stomach. They look at her and wonders if she's alright as her face is red, so it seems like she's having fever. The meal is ready and served. She finds it good time. She looks at the food as she realizes this is her first time seeing all of this, but she is aware that she cannot eat this much. They also find the cream puff. She looks at it and questions if it really tastes like that. They tell her it is a perfect match. She takes a bite of it as she finds the taste very overwhelming. She thinks that she has really lived so pitifully. She finds it really tasty that she happens to end up getting teary-eyed, to the point that she thanks everyone. She wonders that from now on she will only eat delicious food, and she will make sure to do everything that Shulina could not. Right then, she suddenly covers her mouth as they become worried about her. Lucida goes to her, questioning her if she is okay. She ponders that it hurts and it feels like she's going to throw up. Blue Cedar tells her to not hold back and throw up. She begins to think about the past. She finds herself in a different place. She ponders that with a somewhat low and heady voice, like a man. She knows this place. She goes towards a woman, thinking that only she can wake her up. She realizes that this is the spirit realm sealed within the spirit mirror. Her head feels like it is going to explode. She wonders where is she, Lucida, and the physician stands beside her. She wakes up and finds herself on the bed. They ask her how is she feeling as she has woken up now. All of them are worried about her. She notices that their gas shows concern for her and the realization that she does not have to endure her sorrow alone when she wakes up. They ask her if she's okay. She realizes that everything is new, and she does not know what kind of expression she should make. The physician introduces himself. He asks her if there are any other places that hurt. She coughs as he mentions it is Oak to answer slowly so she should not push herself too hard. He questions what did she eat at the orphanage, and if she has ever eaten something like the food she had today. She informs him that she has had cabbage soup. With her that it seems like consuming excessive would react suddenly along with cream, which is not good for her stomach is the issue. She remembers that it was delicious. He tells her that from now on she should only eat the medications and light food that he prescribed. She thinks that they are tormenting her by making her unable to eat delicious things. Thinking that orphanage should be turned down, the Duke asks her if there is anything else that hurts. Dylan also tells her that she was unconscious for almost 2 days and just woke up, and they were all very worried. She cannot believe that they were worried about her. She's aware that she was brought here intentionally and just collapsed. So how can they be worried about her? She then looks at the distance between them and thinks why everyone is staying so far away. She notices that the young master has been avoiding eye contact since earlier and that there's a foul smell. She realizes that she vomited during meals and fainted for 2 days, and not being able to wash for 2 days, she finds herself filthy and decides to get up. Realizing she is so dirty right now and the bed will get dirty, the young master tells her to not move so suddenly as she can just get up slowly and take a bath. The Duke calls out to Lucida and tells her that he should take her and help her bathe. She wonders what are they talking about and notices that the Duke's expression is dark. She wonders what should she do to be loved at times like this. She feels cozy. After she is done with bath, Lucida tells her that she should be eating only delicious things right now and asks her if she's feeling a little better. She responds yes, and that her head is a little before. She thinks that she should not worry her as looking at Lucida's eyes, but she cannot help but say the truth. Lucida mentions that His Highness say that her opinions are important in everything, and he said that she is a good girl who observes her surroundings and ensures her suffering well. She ponders that she thought he was angry earlier because of his dark expression. Thinking if he was just saying all that, she thinks if he noticed that she was nervously observing. She feels a bit queasy. Lucida asks her if she feels scared of His Highness or the young master, or she has any numbness or trembling feeling. She thinks about it as she does not know how to respond. Lucida tells her that it is a sensitive matter, but they have a truly remarkable presence in everyone, perhaps because of that presence is afraid of the master and the young master. They mention that the young master is also worried that she might have heard because he stayed close to her. The girls given by the chief physician was not that, but since it is a curse passed down through generations, others likely avoided it. So that is why everyone's opinions are similar. She wonders how much suffering from the course just must have led to those worries. She is not sure whether everyone treats her so well that she is grateful. She really wants to run over and clear up any misunderstandings right away. Even at this moment, she is worried that the Grand Duke could think of her as an insolent child. Can you see the mentions that she's so glad as she tells her that now she needs to change into new clothes and guides her to the dressing room? She looks at all of the dresses and shoes and becomes mesmerized. Seeing everything shining so brightly, she finds all of them so pretty. Lucida asks her if she happens to like it, and informs her that His Kindness prepared the clothes for her. She tells her that she should come here and she will choose the clothes that she wants to wear. She chooses one of the dress as Lucida asks her if she likes this dress, then she will help her change her into that. Lucida also tells her that they did not have enough time, so there's only ready-made clothes for her, and soon His Highness will call a tailor to get her sizes for her custom outfits. Informing her that His Highness instructed them to prepare as thoroughly as possible since she will be entering the Imperial Palace. She thinks about it and wonders that the Grand Duke is going that far only for her. She knows that when she thinks about it, the Grand Duke has always been kind to her ever since they met. She remembers that he asked her about her opinion and he paid attention to the smallest details about her. She does not want to hurt him just because of this misunderstanding. She decides to run to him. She wishes for him to please listen carefully. They are shocked to find her as she has tears in her eyes. But she tells him that she hates that the young master is avoiding her. She mentions that he kept avoiding her eyes earlier and it hurt her feelings. She calls out to each of them and tells them how much she likes them. Tensions that she likes this home and everyone here coming from the orphanage. It feels like paradise to her. She has never felt this way before. She is aware that everyone there had no interest in her. They hated her because she was a dirty or fun. No one treated her nicely. In the orphanage, she was a child who was not worthy of love. She was a useless child. For the first time in her life, she has met many good people who are with her. They hug her without a care and hold her hand, and she's so happy for that. No, she thinks that she understands why she felt so uneasy when she was with them. They were like her, just like how she was alone in this world. She was rejected by her family, and the Grand Duke's family was isolated because of the curse. She asks them why are they avoiding her. It makes her feel sad that they are avoiding her. But before that, with His Highness hugs her tightly, she wishes for them to not avoid her anymore, and that they should not hate her, please. She tells them to not dislike her because of this. They wipe her tears and tells her that she is not a dirty orphan and she is their sister. It has only been a short time since she woke up. They tell her that she must be exhausted from crying so much as her eyes have become as red as rabbits. They tell her to go inside and wait as His Highness will feed her some soup. She tells him all right. She shows him the dress and asks him if it is not cute. He agrees with her and tells her this is cute. She wonders if His Highness finds her cute too. Like dragonfly wings, as she finds the weather so nice before she wonders what is going on. She's aware that she has never worn something with things like this attached to food. His Highness looks at her legs before he tells her they should eat before the soup gets cold. She is shocked that he changed the subject and tells him all right. He places her down and asks her to open her mouth. She seems a bit weird as she eats it from his hand. She finds it really hot. He asks her what is wrong, and if she's okay. Lucida appears and questions what seems to be the matter. His Highness mentions that it seems like she is still in pain. She vomited after he gave her the soup. Lucida asks her if she's okay. She tells Lucida that His Highness gave her the soup without cooling it down first, and it is really too hot. You will see the mentions that she notices she did not cry much and tells her that she is a good girl and tells his dupe that he should blow on the soup before giving it. She gives her cold water and asks her to hold it in her mouth. His Highness tells her that her body is weak so her tongue might be delicate too. Lucida tells His Highness that eating such hot food without cooling it down will hurt anyone. But he is aware that his kids did not have this problem. Both that comparing the physical abilities of the Duke's family with regular people is not right. She tells his Duke that he did not do it on purpose, but why is he suddenly giving her soon? He tells her that she is too thin, so she should eat well to grow taller. He mentions that is right. If she eats well and take her medicine to get healthy, then he will give her something special that he has never given to other children. She asks him if that is really the case. He gives her a pinky promise stating that he promises her dad. Meanwhile, somewhere else, someone asked a question if he's alright. He responds that he is fine and asks him to leave from here quickly. He gets on the carriage, and while he's on the carriage he thinks how nice it would be if he could stay inside. He wishes for his dear as he knows that he searched for the child for 6 years. The dead child was cremated within 3 days, according to customs. The empress who gave birth her eyes also died as she could not endure the childbirth due to her frail health. All this time was told to him by the other wife, Empress Elena. Everyone thought it was strange that he was searching for a dead child, but he firmly believed that the child was alive. He thinks that the child could be dead, but he felt the awakening of the spirit power after the child was born. Even though he knew it was irrational, he clung to a glimmer of hope and traveled to all orphanages in the country. He asks Lucas what is he doing. Lucas responds that he's drawing the tasks he needs to do when she comes back, as when she comes back he will teach her swordsmanship himself and he will carry her every day. He cannot wait to see her. He is the eldest son Lucas, who was eagerly waiting for the sibling left by his deceased mother. Lucas was the only one in the imperial palace to believe his sibling was alive. As the gifts for the sibling increased, his hopeful face grew dimmer. Ocella would go to his father and tell him that she loves him. She would give him flowers. She, the daughter of the weak noble family who was married off for political reasons to become the empress. She is sorry for the child, but Ocella, whom he did not want when the empress was a daughter, he could not laugh. Everyone said to forget that youngest child and focus on raising the living ones, even though he could never forget the lost child. He wishes he could see her just for once. He thinks that if he has not found them yet, and he should such thoroughly as he will never give up on her, he will definitely find her. He wonders where is she wandering without even having been held in his arms. He calls out her name as he thinks about her. Dylan calls her as she runs to him, calling him brother, but she thinks why does he keep calling her like a puppy and going back and forth so many times as it is tough. He questions if exercising is making her tired. He asks her to eat this as it is a candy. He mentions that he will give her 2 pieces specially as it is a secret from her brother. She does have it as delicious and that she really likes it. She also calls him the best. He shows it off to the big brother that she finds him the best and likes him the most. He asks him what on earth is he writing every day. He gives no reaction and it is boring. She also looks at him and wonders if he is recording any activities again. She saw him working on a health program and consulting with doctors, thinking if it could be that her fainting was a shock to him. He then calls out to her and asks her to come near. She ponders that here they go again and rushes to him, thinking what can she do? She does have that. She is coming now. But in the middle, Dylan tells her that he will teach her swordsmanship and she should come to him. She realizes it is hard to call her all at once like this. He then rushes to her with the sword, stating that he will then come over there. She becomes scared, thinking if he comes like this you will end up getting hurt. But before that, right then, Master takes his sword and protects her. He shouts at him, telling him that swinging a sword around without understanding the situation if he is out of his mind. Dylan becomes emotional and apologizes and questions if she is hurt. She wonders that he looks like a scolded puppy. She tells him that he is so cute. He asks her what is cute about this situation and how can she tease him like that. She tells him that it is just really cute. His Highness is looking at them. He is informed that the investigation into the orphanage where she was staying is complete. He asks for the report as it is told that the children he saw were in a very staffed condition, and it seems they did not get proper nutrition like the young lady. They are also informed that none of the children were dressed for the season. The whole orphanage was cold except for the director's office. Given the state of the orphanage, it seems the director embezzled quite a bit of money, and that if the funds from the Duke's estate had been used properly, it would not have reached this extent even without personal donations. He wondered how dared to think that they normally rational his grace is this angry, thinking if that little lady might become a young lady. He calls out to the attendant and asks him to bring her here. She goes to him and questions if he called her. She ponders that usually she only sees him during meal times or tea times and wonders what is going on. He asks her to come here and sit down. She does that and wonders why did he call her. He questions what does she think about the orphanage. She asks him why is he asking about the orphanage. All of us return. She realizes his expression is called. She does not think she has ever seen him make such a face and thanks if he is dissatisfied with her and planning to send her back to the orphanage. She wonders that it has only been 2 weeks since she came to the Duke's house and thanks if she did something wrong. She wonders what should she do. She tells herself to think quickly as she can get through this. She wonders if she should take more enthusiastic photos for newspaper promotion, or if she should emotionally appeal to him based on the goodwill that she has, or if she should emphasize her intelligence, or she should do just whatever she's told. She wonders what is the wisest choice. She tells him that perhaps if he is planning to send her back to the orphanage because he does not need her, or if she should go back to the orphanage. He didn't ask her. What is she saying? He tells her that she is saying that she is not needed, and who said that? But she's not needed, but she states that he suddenly asked about the orphanage. He apologizes to her, stating that he was too hasty. He tells her that for now, she can take this as her body is completely healed. It is a promised gift. She looks at it, realizing it looks like the usual cream puff. He asks her to eat it before it melts and loses its taste. She finds it cold. He mentions it is an ice cream puff. She does not know how it tastes. She then realizes it is a cream puff that is frozen and eaten cold. There was someone who liked it as much as she does. She thinks if he's thinking of the Duchess, as he said she passed away shortly after giving birth to Dylan. He tells her to just eat it as she looks like she's about to drool. She then tells him that she will eat it and finds it really delicious. She thanks him for giving her such a tasty treat. He mentions that if she likes it that much, then she should come often and he will prepare it for her. She then questions if she is not being sent back to the orphanage because he is giving her this again. She tells him, if that is the case, then she knows it very well. She is aware that this is an opportunity to deal with the director who has been tormenting her and the children, and she will report everything. She tells him that the director is a good person. She works hard so that everyone can eat. He asks her if that is really the case. She tells him it is sad that usually excellent people give money for them. What? Such people are rare, so they have to help the director a lot. He questions if they have things to do. She tells him yes, they all work very well. They do swing laundry and cleaning. After breakfast they clean up and do saving until dinner, about 10 hours, and they work hard to make things in. The director sells them to buy food. He tells her that children like her work for 10 hours, or if she has been beaten often. She cannot believe that he called her there. She tells him that she was a useless child in the orphanage, so she learned to clean and do laundry well, to work as a maid in a good house. He becomes angry when she asks him to not do that. She tells him to not clench his fist as it hurts, and she wishes he would not be hurt. He mentions that he feels the same and he hopes a child with such beautiful hands no longer suffers. She has tears in her eyes as she thinks. At that moment, her nose began to sting with tears. She tells herself to not cry, thinking this feeling must be Shulina's emotions. She tells herself to not be shaken. He mentions that from what he has heard, the director is a terrible human being, but the orphanage is an unnecessary place for the Duke's estate, so they should punish and explore the director and then bring in a new one. She realizes now that children at the orphanage can be free from the director. After a while, she realizes it has only been a few days since she said that. The director stands in front of her as she wonders how did things turn out this way. She thinks that people are really something. Deleting questions if it is okay if they go to the park since it is her first time outside the mansion. She tells him yes, as she has really wanted to visit Central Park. She also thanks him for bringing her. He tells her that it would have been nice if their brother could come too, but he is so busy that it cannot be helped. So they should come with him next time together. She tells him that sounds good. Her attention turns towards a girl drinking something. He notices that and asks her if she would like to drink that. He tells her that he will buy it for her. She tells him it is fine, but he runs away, asking her to wait for a moment as he will be back soon. Lucida tries to stop him. She then realizes that he has already gone that far, so it cannot be helped. She questions if they should wait on a nearby bench. She turns to look at Shushu, but Shushu isn't there. Meanwhile, the director stands in front of the director. She notices the Empress minion standing behind the director. In the novel, the Empress commanded a secret organization from the White Mage Tower. She is aware that this person is definitely one of them. Realizing that the director cannot use magic, nor does she have the ability to gather information from the Duke's house. It is clear that the Empress used her minions to abduct her here, but she wonders why on earth did they do that. The director tells her that she sees that she has been doing well. She responds that she has been doing well, but questions where is this as there are still 2 weeks left. She's aware that if the Duke ends the sponsorship like this, she would naturally leave the Duke's house. But why go through the risk of abducting her now? The director tells her that even if she is useless, it seems that there is still a place where she's needed, seeing that someone is looking for her. She thinks about the necessary place as the person steps towards her and tells her it has been a while. She thinks that they are trying to drain her power again. They took it away a month ago. She knows that she does not want to feel that pain again. She flinches and calls out for help. She calls out to the director, even asking her to help her. She is aware that they were the ones who tolerated the draining of her spiritual power even when she was at the orphanage, and there is no way that they would help her now. She tells herself to stay calm as it is still oak, and she can change the future. It is not yet the time for the Empress to imprison her. She mentions that she hates it as they did it last time too. The person tells her that it will end soon. In the original novel, and even shortly after coming to this world, she constantly saw the magical tool. She ponders that it is brilliant, the secret of Isella. Despite being of royal blood, she had no spiritual power, so she always carried the brilliant which contained her spiritual power to use it. The novel said that Shulina, who was supposed to have Isella's spiritual power, was born with it stolen, but she did not steal Isella's power. With a different mother and Isella, who was born first without spiritual power. She wonders, why is it her fault? Why did she read a nonsensical novel that treats someone who is not the protagonist as a villain? She knows this is just a justification to torment her. She thinks that the brilliant must not touch her. She calls out to the Duke to help her. Right down, the person grabs onto her and asks her to wait. Before anything can happen, she begins to resist the power. A bunch of knights appear. The Duke yells at the person to get his hand off her right now. Dylan calls out to her too. She has tears in her eyes as she realizes they really came. The person creates a barrier between them. She becomes aware that this is a barrier and she cannot escape like this. She knows that they are trying to take her hostage. While the magician is distracted by the Duke, she thinks of something. She notices a glass on the side and grabs it. She hits it on the person's leg. He yells and the barrier is broken. She notices the brilliant falling down as she realizes that she has to move immediately and needs to get rid of the brilliant. She knows that the Empress and Isella would never give up their spiritual power like this. If they take that, they will definitely come back. This causes her to understand that she really needs to move right now. She has to get rid of the brilliant. If she destroys it, they won't be able to come after her while it is being remade. Young Master hugs Shushu tightly, questioning if she is okay. She's shocked, realizing that it's not the time for this now. She tells him that they need to get rid of that dot. He turns around to look at it. The person tries to grab it. Dylan, with his sword, throws the brilliant away. He mentions that it seems the diagonal cutting practice paid off. He asks Shushu if she saw the questioning. Is not he cool? The young master ponders that fool is waving his sword again. That person begins to cast a spell. Somehow he ends up holding the brilliant. He smirks, but before anything, someone destroys the brilliant with the sword. The Duke mentions that he failed to control his strength. Dylan tells his father that the person is dead, and he wanted to ask him why he did that to Shushu. His Duke tells Del to not worry, stating that there are still those who can be held responsible. He throws the sword at the director. It passes so near her that it cuts her hair. She falls down on the ground. The Duke mentions that his control over his strength has not been working well lately, expressing that he's very angry right now. She apologizes to him, telling him that she has committed a capital offense. He tells her if she has committed a capital offense, then she should die. But he has many questions, and no matter how much she disregards him, she will still answer. She asks him, how dare someone like that disrespect the Duke? It is impossible. She did what she did, knowing he was just someone like him. Otherwise, she would not harm the child she protect. Shushu looks at the director and wonders that the director who tormented her so much is so weak in front of the Duke. She thinks that if Shulina had a bit more strength, if she had found her true identity. Would the director have bowed to her too? Shushu hugs the young master tightly as he tells her that no one will ever harm her again. She knows it is Oak, because now everyone is protecting her. The Duke questions who was with her. She tells him that she cannot say that because if she tells him that, she will really be killed. Shushu thinks that normally she would have betrayed and revealed everything long ago. Why is the director keeping silent with some misplaced sense of loyalty? The Duke calls her foolish. He tells her to think that she would still think she could live after doing such things. He tells Windy and Del to look closely. He points his sword, stating that no matter how insignificant it may seem, the potential for trouble must be eliminated. Windy tells his father that he knows he's angry, but reminds him that Shushu is watching. Del also tells him that she is fragile. Seeing that scene will make her faint again. He mentions alright and tells Windy to take her home, and give her warm milk and let her rest. As he takes her away, The director yells at her, telling her that she did wrong and asks for help, questioning that she loves her, doesn't she? Shushu asks the Duke if the orphanage will really change. He responds yes. She questions, so that means no one will be beaten anymore, the food will be delicious, and there won't be any more moldy walls. They won't be scolded for not working all day, right? He mentions, of course. This causes her to smile. She calls out to the director. She questions if the director has ever listened to her pleas for help before. She reminds the director that she also asked for help earlier. She then ignores her and leaves. She is aware that the time for forgiveness has passed. The director cannot harm her anymore. With the brilliant loss, the Empress won't have the resources to worry about her for a while. She thinks that it was a tiresome connection and wishes farewell to the director. As they get home, she asks Del if he's okay. He has tears in his eyes as he asked her if it hurts a lot. She tells him that she is not hurt. He mentions that he is not worthy of being her big brother. He begins to cry. He tells her that he could not protect her just because of that dream. She tells him, but the evil magician took her away and he even intended to give her that drink. She smiles and tells him that she thought he and the Duke would come to rescue her. She trusted them. She wonders that it is a dangerous thought for an orphan who cannot trust anyone, but at that moment it really felt like everyone would come to save her. She tells him to not cry. She knows that this time she barely escaped thanks to these people. The Empress will come back to take her spiritual power again. Today was manageable because of the variable of the Duke, but she wonders about the next time. Thinking if the Empress tries to sink the Violet family with her, she wonders what should she do. The Duke's family is the top family in the Empire, but the Empress is royal. Moreover, the Empress's family, the Berthold, is a noble head and controls fertile lands in the southern part of the Empire, thus controlling the Empire's food supply. In contrast, the Duke's family has been uninvolved in politics, so their power is weak. It might not only be Berthold Marquisate and the Empress. It is possible that the entire faction of nobility could be her enemy. She wants to protect these people and everyone. She wonders if they can win. She is told that she was very shocked, so it is Oak now, mentioning that they should rest a little since he will stay by her side until they fall asleep. She tells him that he is busy though. Del asks her if it is a big deal if she's so shocked, stating that he will not leave her behind. Wendy tells her that her face seems a bit red and she really seems to have a fever. He mentions that he will call her doctor, so she should try to rest for now. She mentions that she's okay, she's aware that she's dizzy and she just needs a sip of water. Right then, a bucket of water falls onto her. Both of them are shocked, questioning what is happening. They ask her if she's okay. She suddenly feels cold. They tell her it is okay, and they will keep her warm. They question if she is feeling warm. She feels so cold that she wishes she could warm up by the fire. Right then she's on fire, causing both of them to be shocked. Del grabs the blanket trying to stop the fire. Wendy looks at her, questioning what is this? She slowly becomes unconscious, thinking that her body feels strange. Somewhere else, someone mentions that they finally meet. She wonders who is it Wendy or Del? She thinks if she is dreaming. She is told to not be hurt and calls her contractor. She's aware that hearing this voice somehow makes her feel at ease. But she wonders, what does this person mean by contractor? She knows that something is tangled in her head. She wonders if this is her dream or a memory. She is not sure. The person tells her that the seal has not been broken yet, so they can only visit her like this. It is just a moment of pain as the cost of properly manifesting her spiritual power, so she should get better quickly. This time, as she wishes, she will be happy. Telling her to find her soon as she will wait. Del becomes worried and questions why is not Shushu waking up. He shakes the doctor. The doctor tells her that she will wake up very soon, it is just that she exhausted her spiritual energy too much. He tells the doctor that she suddenly collapsed. She was hit by a water splash, and it suddenly became cold, and then she fell down after shooting fire. So how could she have any spiritual energy left? The doctor asks him to please let go of him. Shushu then wakes up. The Duke calls out to her telling her she's awake. He tells her that she really does make people worry, questioning if she's feeling better. She notices that everyone here is the same. She tells them yes and questions about the director. She's told that the director received the punishment she deserved. It is too much for her to know the details right now, but she mentions that she wants to know, and she thinks that she has the right to know. He tells her that the director ran the orphanage, poorly embezzled funds, and also abused and kidnapped her. Considering all her crimes, she was executed on the spot. He tells her that he knows she is disoriented, but he has someone to introduce her to. A person steps in stating that he is agreeing from the Tower of Blue. He came to cause it seems that she has a special ability. She notices that he is a magician. She seems a bit worried as she's told that she does not need to worry because he is here beside her, so it is okay. The magician asks her how did that person torment her. She tells him when the brooch was placed on her, her vision blurred and she lost her strength. It felt like her body was twisting, and it hurt so much that she could not even scream. This has been happening since she was in the orphanage, continuously. The Dake becomes angry, stating that they truly deserve to die. The magician tells her that he's here to help her. He mentions that if she can determine what her power is, he can make sure such things do not happen again. She thinks that Shulena's power is spiritual energy, thinking what if the Duke finds out about her spiritual power and sends her to the royal family. Finding the Emperor's daughter would help her reputation. She thinks about Azella, stating that her dad is her dad only, even though her corrupt mother is dead and dad has forgotten her. Why is she doing this? Even her brothers were like their only sibling is Azella. She's aware that even if she goes to the royal family, no one will welcome her. She does not want to go to the royal family. She becomes a bit scared before the Duke tells her that he already knows a lot. She thinks that the Duke might have heard about her from the director. She can feel the kind gaze and kindness that the Duke always showed her. She thinks that it is something that he will find out sooner or later, so she should just trust the Duke this time. The magician tells her that he's a magician who uses ice magic, so she will be a bit cold for a while. She begins to feel cold as he uses his magic. He suddenly questions, what is this? The Duke asks him what is wrong. He mentions, it is not the magic that she used. Del states, but both his brother and he saw the fire and water that appeared suddenly like magic. The magician states he also thought it might be a type of elemental magic, but he senses a special power coming from her head instead of mana. Wendy wonders from her head. Could it be talking about spiritual energy? Del mentions, but spiritual energy is something only direct descendants of the royal family can possess. He questions, does that mean that she is of royal blood? The Duke mentions among the direct royal descendants, the only possibility is the deceased empress, the child who was said to have died right after birth, was alive. The Duke tells the magician that he has completed the confirmation so he can go back now. However, what he witnessed today must not leak out. The magician tells him that he will keep the secret absolutely. The Duke calls out to her. He asks her if she wants to return to the royal family. He mentions that she can tell him if she wants to come back as a princess. She tells the Duke that she does not want that. The Duke asks her why is that. She tells him that if she really were a princess before she went to the orphanage, someone could have protected her, right? But no one did. She grabs the Duke and tells him that she is still just an orphan in the orphanage. She questions if he does not need her anymore. He tells her that an orphan for publicity is not needed. However, instead, he needs a doctor. He hugs her. He gets down on his knees and tells her if she will be his daughter, whom he will protect until the end. He tells her that he was wondering when to bring this stuff. He takes something out, mentioning that this is a treasure that has been passed down to the girls and their family for generations. It has been kept safe since the last child was born over 100 years ago. If she decides to become his daughter, he will take a family photo and place it inside. Even if she chooses not to, his promise to protect her will never change. He mentions that the choice is entirely hers. She's aware that she should answer that she wants to become part of the family right away, but she wonders what if her presence puts the Grand Duchy in danger? She's aware that she cannot seem to speak. A few days passed since that conversation, since the day her spiritual power properly manifested. Her health has improved rapidly. She no longer slur her words or stumble when she walks. She is still thinking about his words, that the choice is entirely hers. The brothers call out to her as she asks them when did they get here. She did not know they were here. Wendy questions if she was thinking about whether to become part of their family. He apologizes to her, stating that he did not mean to pressure her. He mentions that their father said it would not be right if she felt pushed into a decision. Del mentions, but he's curious. He asks her to please slay with them. Wendy tells him he should not say that, as this causes her to feel troubled. She tells them that she actually wants to keep living here in the Grand Duchy. Del asks her, then what is the problem? She tells them that it is that she's worried that her presence here might harm the Grand Duchy's reputation. Wendy tells her that will not do any questions how, but they go out for a walk. As they go outside, she asks him where is this. He tells her this is the place where she used to live. He mentions that the wicked director is no longer here. Someone calls out to her as she finds Sophie, Marie, and Elian. They tell her to go ahead and talk. They will be watching from the carriage. She steps towards them. They ask her how has she been. They tell her that she has really become a princess. They also mention that they are very thankful towards her as she did not forget about them even after going to the Grand Duchy. She asks them what are they all talking about. They tell her that she changed their orphanage. They said that she was the one who got rid of the director, and thanks to her, they now have a kind new director. They all say that she's so kind and smart that even the Grand Duchy recognized it. She thinks if they all think that she was adopted into the Grand Duchy because she got rid of the director and changed the orphanage. She tells them that she still has not seen Tellen, questioning, "Where is she?" They mention that she was locked in the closet and she got seriously ill. Her condition worsened, so the director sent her to another orphanage far away. It is like a hospital ward. They also mention that they did not know, but when they die, adults come to check. That is why the director got so mad and said that they could not die here. Shushu thinks that she and Tellen did not have a good relationship, but she hopes that she ended up somewhere better where she won't be beaten. She tells them that she will go back now. They asked her to please come and visit again. They call her Shu as she thinks that she is not Shu anymore. She has become Shushu as she goes back. She is questioned if she met her friends. She asks him why did he bring her here. He questions how was the orphanage. It must have felt different from being at the Grand Duchy, right? She does them, yes. He mentions that is because this is her home now, not the orphanage. So she should not worry about reputation or background, as she is someone who shines wherever she is. As they get home, she realizes that as soon as they got home, the Duke said he had something to show her and wonders where are they going. She has never been to the 3rd floor before. He puts her down and asked her if she has heard about what this place is. She does him. No, he mentions that this is where their family history is kept. He shows her the portraits and states that these portraits are of their ancestors in the Grand Duchy. He mentions that his is also here, and this is where the portraits of the descendants of the head of the family are still hung. He tells her that the Grand Duchess does not have many children, so there's still plenty of space. She questions what she wonders that he just make a joke about having a place for her portrait. He shows her their founder. He mentions that the founder of Bailat was a dragon. That is why their ears are elongated like that. She questions what is a dragon. He tells her that it looks like a lizard, it has wings, and it is very strong. He wonders how should he explain it so she understands. Right then she hears a noise. She notices someone staring at her as she wonders who is that. He tells her that anyway there are no dragons left in this world and that he should probably show her a picture book with dragons in it. She tells him, but more importantly, there's a person over there. He looks towards the place, finding no one there, and asks her what is she talking about. She wonders if she is seeing things as there was definitely someone there. She tells him that it is nothing. She finds the crown really beautiful and small. He tells her it is because it is a young dragon and asks her if she would like to try it on. He mentions it has not been taken out for over 100 years. She becomes shocked, questioning if he is going to take it out now. She does him. This is a national treasure, and if it falls before she's totally shocked. She asks him what if it gets damaged. He tells her then they will just make another one. And if that happens, she will get to choose a design that suits her best. He gets down on one knee and calls her Princess Chulina de Bailat. He mentions that although the Grand Duchy is a vassal state of the Amnesia Empire, he is still the head of a country. He tells her that if she becomes his daughter, she will become a princess too. He also shows her the room where they give the heirlooms for the girls in their family. He hopes that she will accept this. She wonders what is he talking about. He asks her why does she think that is absurd. He is asking her to become his daughter right now, is not he? She's aware that is true. He does her, so it makes sense to show her what she could have and let her choose. Of course, he has no intention of forcing her. Even if she chooses not to become his daughter, he will not take it back. She asks him what does he mean, questioning. Is not this an heirloom? She finds it absurd and asks him what if this room is empty when future girls are born. He tells her that future descendants are none of his concern right now. He's doing his best to convince her to become his daughter. So why should he care about the future daughters? She thinks honestly. The beautiful clothes that she has worn, and a luxurious food that she has eaten in the Grand Duchy. It all felt like a dream, but she's aware that if she gets greedy, she will end up unhappy. She is not sure if she can repair all the kindness that the Grand Duke has shown her. She tells him what she accepts all of this and then refuses to be adopted. He mentions if she's worried about that then she should just become his real daughter. She wonders what should she do and thinks if this person can really protect her and can she protect this person. She mentions that he is not aware of her situation. If the Grand Duke knew her situation and still accepted her, if he stood by her, she would be truly happy. She tells him if he adopts her, it might put him in danger. He questions if she's talking about the Empress. She knows there is no way they would plan to kidnap a poor little orphan by using a magician. Given that it is not revealed that she's a princess, it is natural for the Grand Duke to suspect the Empress. He tells her that she's really sharp and questions how did she know that the Empress was targeting her. She mentions that she overheard it when they were trying to steal her spiritual power. She only found out a few days ago that she has this power because she is a princess. She mentions that actually Azella does not have any spiritual power. She has been deceiving everyone. He mentions so that is why they tried to steal it from her. She tells him they will keep coming to take it, and because of that the Grand Duchy might be in danger because of her tells him that the Empress might see him as an enemy too. He tells her that the Grand Duchy is not so weak that they cannot protect one daughter. She questions, but what if the Empress's power is greater than expected? They were saved this time, but what if they attack him next time? What if they take her brothers or Lucida or Edgar hostage? In this story, the Empress plotted many things, greater dangers will come. He mentions that Bailut is also hiding its strength. She mentions that there will be nothing but danger, trouble, and hardship. So does he really want to adopt her knowing everything? He tells her that a starving person cannot forget the taste of food they've only had a glimpse of. Even if it is on an unreachable cliff, they will find a way to climb up and eat it. She does him, but she is not the only one who cares for him. He asks, who knows? He questions, is it true that she does not want to return to her biological family? She tells him that she hates the idea and they are not her family. He questions if she has ever met her biological family. She tells him now she has not. She states that she does not think she is really a princess. If she is truly a princess, then why did she have to live like this? He was an emperor, a crown prince. He could not even protect a young child like her. Instead of protecting her, he only loved Azella. This is a world inside a book, a world that only cares for the protagonist Azella. That could not have changed now. She thinks there is nowhere happiness could come to her. She does not have a family. She's alone, the Duke tells her. Then he and his children will become her new family. No one will be able to harm her. He places his hand on her face and tells her that she should come and live with them. She begins to cry. She does seem that she feels really selfish. He does her to go ahead. She mentions that she wants to live happily together. She's aware that she's enjoying a lot right now. She will definitely repay him somehow. So she wants him to become her father. He hugs her and tells her parents don't make their children owe them anything. He thinks that she has so many scars. He wonders when they all will heal. She asks him then will he love her unconditionally. Right then Dell steps in and asks her to not keep asking things that are obvious. She looks at him. He questions if she's really going to be his sister. He cannot believe that he is going to have a sister like her. He is very happy. Wendy also tells her that she made a good decision. They promise to protect her, and she protects his happiness too. He tells her that they should always be together. She is aware that these children like her had no one else to rely on, so they were lonely to being loved, expressing love and holding each other close so they're not lonely. She tells them yes, she will always be their family and thanks the Grand Duke. The Duke asks her what kind of book does she like. She wonders so right now, is he going to read a book to her? He questions if she wants to choose which one does she like. She calls him the Grand Duke and tells him she likes this one. He stares at her. She wonders if she chose the wrong one and if she should pick another one. He asks her why is she still calling him Grand Duke as they are now. Father and daughter are not they? She tells him yes and calls him father. He mentions that's nice too, but she should say it with 2 syllables. She thinks about it as she ponders. She can say it easily in her head, but the words won't come out of her mouth. She wonders if it is because of Shulina's memory of being rejected by her family that she cannot even say the right title. But she does not want to give up on even something like this. She tries her best and calls him Dad finally. He tells her that is right. They then decide to lie down. He reads her the book as he begins with Once Upon a Time at the Top of the Magic Tower. She thinks that he is reading to her clumsily, changing his voice as he goes. He's exactly the kind of dad that she has always dreamed of. He mentions that the magician went down below. She ponders that she really loves her dad and she's so happy to be living together. He tells her that the magician rolled around on the flower bed like a puppy. He asks her if she has seen a puppy before. He notices that she fell asleep. He wishes her sweet dreams. She finds herself in a place which has beautiful flowers everywhere. She wonders if her dad and brother will like it if she gives them some. Someone then tells her to get up, stating that it is dangerous if she pushes any harder. She wakes up thinking, what is this, and notices the scent of flowers. She notices a man tired in front of her. She questions who is this and wonders if this is an assassin, and if they intended to kill her, he would have thrown the sword at her. She notices that there is a sack big enough for her to fit in. She becomes horrified and thinks if the Empress is going to kidnap her. She becomes really scared and yells for help. High Brother in the royal palace feels her aura, if she is still alive. He's aware there is no one to teach her how to properly use her power. He hopes that she is not in danger. He runs outside to talk to his father. As he's about to say it, his father tells him that even though it is night, there are many eyes in the royal castle. He then creates a barrier with his spiritual power and tells him that now he can speak. He tells him that she is still alive. His father responds that he felt it too, and the order of the spiritual power used by her from the direction of the Grand Duchy. He questions if she could be at the Grand Duchy. His father mentions that he cannot say it for sure. He thinks that if the child is alive, then the Empress claim that the child was dead was a lie. She must have hidden the child before the funeral. He wonders how dare she take away his and her raised child. Dear family, he thinks whoever the culprit is, he will never forgive those involved. He tells his son that he will find and bring back his sister, and that finally he can keep the promise that he made to him and her race. He tells his father that it is a promise, and if he cannot bring her back, he will go himself and get her. Meanwhile, everyone steps in the room questioning if she is alright. They notices all the flowers around, wondering when did all these flowers appear and what on earth is going on. The Duke is shocked and questions what are they all doing instead of following their training. They yell at the knights, questioning what are they all standing there for in a daze, and they should protect her at once, and capture the person and extract information from them. The brothers also appear. The Duke asks her if she's hurt. She tells him that she's fine. She thinks that last time she used her power it felt like her head was going to explode, but now this time it does not hurt at all, and it actually feels refreshing. Wendy asks her what is going on and what happened here. She tells him that she was playing with the vines in a dream where she was in a flower garden. When she woke up, it was like this. The room turned into a flower garden and there was a strange person. She becomes a bit stunned and hopes they do not think that she's a monster. That is amazing, and she's totally awesome. He tells her that next time she should dream of a room full of chocolate cake. She thinks maybe it is because they are young, but they do not seem too surprised by this room. She looks at his due. She checks his expression and thinks that she thought it was no big deal. But judging by his expression, it seems like she might be stronger than she thought. She is making something as she's questioned what is she doing. One of the maid mentions that the lady is making a necklace for her and questions if that is not so cute. She tells Lucy that there is one for her too. After she was officially adopted into the Grand Duke's family, Lucy tells her that she will treasure it. She questions if she made herself just to give it to her. It turns out that the Duke assigned her Sir Hilaron as her bodyguard and Nina as her personal maid. She tells them that she wanted to give something to everyone, so she made it with Nina. Hina responds that she only helped a little with the scissors, as the lady did most of his so quickly that she felt embarrassed. Lucy asks her how did she come up with such an idea. She tells him that Lucy gave her a ribbon, Edgar gave her a handkerchief, Dell gave her a tutu, and Brother Wendy gave her bracelet. Everyone gave her gifts because she became part of the family, so she wanted to give something in return. Lucy finds it really touching and questions if they can help too. She tells her it is okay, and they finished it. They need to go from the first floor and then to the second floor. She tells Lucy that it is still a secret from that. Lucy tells her, alright, she will keep it a secret. Everyone finds it so pretty, stating it is an honor for their family. Everyone mentions that they will cherish it and thanks her. They tell her that everyone's so happy. She knows it is nothing really special. Patient. What is she thinking about? She mentions that she was just thinking that she did not do anything. But everyone welcomed her. She's told their children are meant to be loved unconditionally. She thinks about the world, and conditionally, she remembers them. We're talking about the degree that was issued from the royal capital. Certainly being called a royal, what could it be? Wendy notices her and picks her up. He questions what is she doing here. Dell also appears and questions how did she get here? He asks her if she is here to see the brothers and that he is just too happy to see her. She tells him he should not throw his sword like that. They notice something around Hilaron and question what is this. Dell finds it ugly. Hilaron questions if he's talking about this. He tells him that this metal that he's calling ugly is the most kind knight metal which Shushu made. She tells Hilaron that she is going back as it seems like the brothers do not really want one. Wendy mentions that he never said that and asks him he just gave it to him and not to Dell. Dell is shocked, questioning if she really made one. She asks Wendy if he really wants her necklace. Dell shakes her around, telling her he wants one too. She tells him that she's getting dizzy. Wendy scolds him, telling him that he's making her dizzy. Intel apologizes to her. He tells her that he wants a necklace too, does Sam. But he was the one who called it ugly. She's aware that actually she thinks everyone is more happy that she made it rather than it being pretty, but seeing Del Broad's reaction makes her want to tease him more. He tells her that he really did not know that she was the one who made it. She asks him if it actually becomes pretty big cause she made it. He tells her that he actually preferred things that are ugly. She tells him that he said he liked her, so does that mean that she's ugly? He states that he actually uses ugly to mean pretty, and from now on ugly means pretty, and he will even change the law later to make it official. She tells him that she should have changed the world. The ugliest brother in the world, right? She gives it to him. She mentions that if she keeps slacking off, her teacher will scold her and she should better go to practice. She also needs to go to her dad. They tell her that they will see her at dinner. She steps inside as she wonders why is everyone welcoming her so enthusiastically. His Duke questions what is going on. Looks at his expression, realizing he does not seem to be in a good mood. She wonders if it is because everyone else has gotten a necklace, but he does not have one. She thinks that if everyone got one and he did not, it would feel bad. So she should better give it to him. Quickly she steps towards him. She gives it to him as he asks her why is he the last. Aiki is told that the most important is always the last. He states that he thought he was the most important. She questions if he does not need this. She tells him that she even wrote that he is the world's best dad from Shushu on it. She also tells him that she added the most pretty words and she even carefully put the most glitter on it. He asks her to give it to him. She does seem that she will put it on for him. She sits on his lap casually. After putting it on, she questions if he likes it. He tells her that she made it well. He also mentions that now that he thinks about it, there is something he wanted to tell her and she arrived just in time. She questions about it. He advises everyone to step out. He tells her that a decree has been issued from the royal palace. There has been decree issued from the royal capital that they have sensed the waves of spiritual energy that signify royal lineage. She's aware that she had already heard this from the rumors within the mansion, and her first thoughts upon it was why. Why are they looking for her now? Why do they want to destroy her life now? Why does he care about her now? She seems to be sad, as he asks if she regrets that they adopted her, as it is not strange to miss her blood family. She tells him that no, she never thought that, she is not missing them. She's angry that she has just found happiness, and now they suddenly want to find her. It makes her so angry. She tells him that her family's only him and her brothers. She tells him even though it won't happen, he should promise her that even if His Majesty himself comes looking for her, he will not send her away. He does her as long as she does not want to go herself. He will not send her away. She tells him yes, it is a promise. He also mentions there is one more thing that he needs to tell her. She wonders what is it. The Duke tells her that there is one more thing that he has to say. She questions about it, wondering what could it be. He states now that she is to be educated as a noble lady. He's looking for a tutor. She questions if he means studying. He asks her if she dislikes it. She exclaims of course not. She thinks to herself that she will study diligently to become a smart noble lady fitting for the Grand Duke's family. The Duke mentions that his daughter is a model student who loves studying, realizing that he'll need to find the most renowned teacher in the capital. The Empress sees the notice that they are seeking a teacher to take on the sole Grand Duchess of the Bailiff family. She finds it very annoying and ponders that since father took over the matter and left it alone, only one person was sent to kidnap her, and that's the reason this mess happened. She also is aware that of all the things she is now being protected by the Grand Duke, which will make it difficult to bring her back. She thinks that she, who became royalty through marriage, can't sense spiritual powers. She was planning to extract her spiritual powers so that the child could never be awakened, and then take her to various orphanages to use as a sacrifice to prevent the Emperor from finding her. But learning about the child's life and death has messed up her plans. She thinks that if the Emperor had not issued the decree, she might not have known that Shulina had awakened. She feels like it can be a blessing in disguise. The fact that the decree instructed her to come on her own means that she could not find her daughter. She realizes that she needs to make her move before finding the child. She knows even if the plan goes wrong, it's just a game. Right then, a delightful image comes to mind. She smirks and wonders if she should make the Grand Duke regret taking the child. Shushu greets the teacher, smiling brightly. However, the teacher seems rude and tells her it's no lie that she has not learned etiquettes yet, stating that a subtle smile is a hallmark of a noble lady. She is Professor Lima Bain of the Royal Academy. She tells Shushu that smiling with visible teeth often looks vulgar, stating it seems like she hasn't yet learned due to circumstances. and unfortunately it looks like there are still traces from her days as a common orphan that haven't been corrected. Shusha notices her eyes, seeing pity in them for her. She is aware it's a different feeling compared to when Lucy, father, and her brothers pitied her. She then tells Shushu that it is alright as changing something innate is very difficult, so that is why she's here, and tells her they can make her a splendid noble lady through this class. Shushu realizes that something feels off, wondering if she is acting like a common orphan girl now. She wonders what it means to act like a noble, questioning if one has to be excellent to be a noble lady. The teacher tells her that her punctuation is precise but asks her to try again. Shushu becomes really scared and starts again, but the teacher is not satisfied and makes her repeat. Even after another try, the teacher tells her that she heard that she was smart, but she is disappointed compared to what she expected. Shushu knows that Lucy and Nina both praised her for speaking maturely. She wonders if they only said that to be considerate. Or is it that the teacher dislikes her? The teacher tells her that to be a noble lady, she must possess the quality of etiquette, nobility, and beauty, telling her of course bloodline comes first. Shushu thinks that bloodline cannot be her flaw, because she has royal blood. Moreover, she remembers that Brother Windy told her that no matter what status or background she has, she is enough just as she is. Wherever she is and whatever she does, she is still Shulina. She tells the teacher that she is still a noble lady, the only Grand Duchess of the Bailiff family. The teacher responds that is not what she meant, but Shulina states that the teacher has continuously ignored her and didn't even greet her when she came in. The teacher questions if she ignored her, stating that was to motivate her, but Shulina doesn't stop and tells her that is not it, and reminds the teacher that she only kept mentioning about her past, which has nothing to do with the class. The teacher tells her that she understands that Shulina is ashamed of her past as a common orphan, but tells Shulina that her past is like her roots. Shulina tells the teacher that she has never been ashamed of her past. She questions if that is that commoners should be ashamed. The teacher responds that is not the case before Shulina mentions that she just wishes the teacher would treat her properly. The teacher then greets her. She tells Shulina that for now they should aim to follow the princess's example, even just a fraction of it for a month. Shulina wonders why is Azella suddenly coming up here. The teacher states that Princess Azella, despite her young age, she is a perfect example of a lady who shines in the place, and she is a perfect example of etiquette, rhetoric, culture, stating that at her age she should have learned many things, but she should not worry as the teacher will transform her into a flawless noble lady no matter what. Shulina seems angry as she questions why is the princess young and she at a learning age when both of them are 6 years old. The teacher is taken aback and reminds her that a noble lady doesn't dwell on trivial matters. Shulina finds it frustrating and wonders what exactly is she supposed to do. She wonders if nobles in her mind are people who have their mouths shut. The teacher tells her that the rules of commoners and nobles are different, so it's understandable if she isn't used to them. Shulina then asks why has the teacher been ignoring her as a commoner since earlier. The teacher responds that she is just speaking as she sees it. Shulina knows that she is not a commoner, and that even if she were one still, there is no need to ignore her like this. She wonders if being a noble is all there is. She finds it very unfair. She decides that she'll show the teacher the fear of a young child. Both brothers wish Shushu to enjoy her dinner at the table, but she begins to cry all of a sudden, making both of them shocked, questioning who made her cry. She keeps on crying and calls the Duke too. His demeanor shifts to worry, prompting him to ask her what happened. He asks her why she is crying all of a sudden. She is aware she was just trying to shed a single tear. The Duke comes to her and asks her again what happened and who made her so upset. She asks him if she is embarrassing to him. He suddenly asks her what is she talking about. She realizes that she was scared that the people of the Grand Duke's family might be ashamed of her after hearing the teacher's words. She asks him again if she is an embarrassment. He asks her who said such a thing and if it was her teacher. She opens up to him, stating that the teacher says if she continues to behave that way, she'll be an embarrassment to the Duke's family. She asks the Duke again if that is truly the case. The Duke grabs onto her and fake out to Lucy. He commands Lucy to go and bring the teacher to him. Immediately, she goes to him and asks him if he summoned her. He tells her that he was told she verbally abused his daughter. She questions how could she speak harshly to the young lady? He then asks her then why did she make her feel ashamed. The teacher questions if she said that she felt ashamed during her lesson. He looks at her coldly as he states that his daughter is only 6 years old and she suddenly came home from her lesson asking if she should be ashamed of her past. He asks her what exactly did he teach her. She mentions that while getting to know young lady naturally her past came up and it seems she felt a bit of embarrassment. She wonders that considering the curse makes it hard for him to even stand, and if she should call him impressive. He mentions that his daughter has no need to be ashamed of her past. The teacher states that the young lady simply felt a sense of inadequacy, and recognizing someone's shortcoming is essential for growth. Being aware that it is a process that many children go through, Shulina wonders if she misunderstood, or is it that she is deliberately confusing her words just because she dislikes her? She tells him that children naturally express whatever they feel. In education, an objective evaluation is crucial, and to be blunt, the young lady cannot be compared to her peers in the capital. Shulina wonders why is she speaking so well, thinking if she is trying to divert attention. The teacher states that under her guidance she will make sure that she becomes the epitome of a lady, someone who will bring honor to the ducal family and become a perfect. Before the Duke intervenes, asking her to hold on. The Duke asks Shushu who is she. She questions she's Daddy's daughter. He responds exactly, she is his one and only daughter of the ducal family, and she doesn't need to be compared with anyone in the capital. If anything, others should be striving to emulate Shushu. The teacher responds that it wasn't her intention. She was merely trying to motivate her by educating her on the qualities of the typical noble lady. The Duke states that he finds his daughter incredibly adorable, and on top of that, she is utterly lovable. The teacher questions if that's the case. The Duke states that is why he swore that he won't let anything bring tears to her eyes, and tells her this means that the teacher is fired. The teacher is shocked as she mentions that is just a bit of misunderstanding. He responds that she is fired regardless. Shushu wonders what about her studies then. She questions the Duke what will happen to her teacher. The teacher also responds stating this is a problem as she must be the one to teach the young lady. Shushu knows that she is insisting that she must be her teacher. The teacher states that if she leaves like this her reputation will be ruined, stating she'll restructure the lessons to better suit the young lady. Shushu wonders why is she so desperate. Thinking that this seems suspicious, Shushu tells the Duke that is true she was upset at the teacher, but cutting her off immediately might not be the best idea. Shushu knows that she is kicked out like this, it's going to leave a bad feeling for sure. Duke tells Shushu that making her upset is such a serious offense, and asks why does she not learn from a more famous and kind teacher who is even better at teaching. Shushu is aware this calls for the ultimate move, the cute plea strategy. Shushu acts cute and tells the Duke that she really wants to learn from this teacher. She asks if the Duke will grant her this request, right? The Duke mentions that since it's her first request, he can't say no. He thinks that his daughter is so sweet and her heart is so gentle, and tells the teacher that if he sees tears in his daughter's eyes again, it'll be over for her. This causes the teacher to be stunned. Shushu is thinking that the teacher did seem suspicious. She feels like she needs to look into it. Right then she looks to the side and mutters Nina. She realizes it's her and stands up. She questions who is she. She knows this is strange as she has never met her before, but she seems really familiar. She tries to touch her, but her hand passes through as the person tells her to be careful. Shulina mentions that she can't hear her well and asks if she can say it again. The person repeats it before disappearing in thin air. Shulina realizes that she's gone and wonders if that was really a ghost. She thinks that saying be careful might mean that she is talking about the teacher. She is aware that come to think of it, she hasn't appeared in the newspapers yet, so information about her isn't widespread. But the teacher seemed to have her information from the very beginning. She also insisted that she must be the one to teach her, and as the professor at the Imperial Academy, even if she is dismissed, she has plenty of places to go back to. The capital and the ducal territory are far apart, realizing that it shouldn't damage her reputation that much. The more she thinks about it, the more uneasy she feels. She wonders, could it be that she is acting on the Empress's orders since she is from the capital? She is aware that there is no harm in being careful, so for now she should keep a close eye on the teacher. After some time she is sitting in the garden as Nina appears, asking her if she is cold and telling her that she brought a blanket. Nina comes to her and asks her if she was upset all day because her nightgown got ruined. Shulina asks Nina how did she know. Nina responds that she overheard the laundry maid talking about it in the hallway. She tells Shulina to not worry as she'll replace the ribbon with a new one. Shulina thanks her but then questions if she really is such a bad person. Nina becomes stunned and asks her what is she talking about. Shulina knows that burning the ribbon was on accident, but it was the first gift that she got from her dad, so she got upset. Nina tells her that it was a nightgown that she treasured, so of course she was upset. Nina tells her that she does not need to worry about someone who just gossips before stopping midway. Shulina responds it is okay, and she is already aware that there are people in the estate who dislikes her. Nina is shocked as she questions she knew. Shulina mentions that she has grown up reading people's faces a lot. She can tell who dislikes her, And who does not? Nina mentions that even knowing that she still worries about them, stating that there is no one kinder than her. Nina then adds that since they are on this topic, she remembers that she saw the teacher talking with the maid. Shulina questions if it's Professor Lima. Nina responds yes, the reason she found out why she was upset was because that maid was complaining to the professor. Shulina thinks so after the meeting with her father she was quiet, but then she went behind her back to gossip. Shulina thinks that Professor Lima, who always emphasizes nobility, must have some motives for getting close to the maid. Shulina commands Nina to bring the laundry maid to her. As the maid appears, she ponders that she needs to find out what is going on. Shulina asks the maid about her name. The maid kneels on the ground and mentions it's Fran. She suddenly yells that she is sorry and she has committed a grave sin. She mentions that she didn't mean it and she did not know the ribbon would burn and states that she is very sorry. Shulina thinks that she thought the maid was aware of her, knowing that she gossips. Shulina gets up from her chair, telling her she isn't there to scold her for that, and the ribbon was an accident. She tells Fran to lift her head. The maid lifts her head, slightly questioning then why. Shulina mentions that she actually needs another person maid, and the maid did good for being honest and telling her about the mistake right away. The maid questions if she is saying that she wants her to be her personal maid. Shulina responds yes, that is the case, and she'll let her father know about it. The maid thanks her so much and becomes really happy, thinking it is a complete turnaround and that she is moving up in the world, and now goodbye to the damn and dusty chores, and she'll have a comfortable job just as she had dreamed. Nina asks her if she is really going to make that maid a personal maid like her. Shulina tells Nina to stay calm. Shulina mentions that someone as honest and diligent as Fran will be a good match for her. Fran thanks her. After a while, she is brushing Shulina's hair and mentions if the brushing hurts, she should tell her. Shulina tells her to just not pull too hard. She then asks Fran that she wanted to ask something. Fran tells her to please go ahead and say it. Fran states that she heard a bit of a sad story, questioning if Fran really gossiped about her, causing Fran to be taken aback. Fran says that is absolutely not true and asks who would spread such a lie. Shulina asks her if she is sure that it is not true. She mentions that she heard it from someone that she trusts. Fran wonders if it could be that teacher. Fran tells her that she really did not mean to. Shulina asks her if she is saying that she is innocent and questions if she should ask about this in front of everyone. Fran suddenly becomes shocked and apologizes to her, telling her that she is sorry and she has committed a grave sin. Shulina tells Fran that she did want to get close to her, but she cannot really have someone who dislikes her as her personal maid. Fran begins to get teary-eyed, questioning how could she dislike her? Mentioning that the teacher kept persuading her, so she confided her frustrations, but she never thought it would lead to this. Shulina asks if the teacher persuaded her. Fran mentions that it's true, and the teacher would often subtly bring up her name in conversations with the maids who work in her quarter. She'd say things that could either be taken positively or negatively depending on how one looks at it. Shulina is aware that is exactly how the teacher's tone felt to her as well. Fran also states that she would approach those who interpreted her words negatively and showed interest, introducing them to each other to help them build connections. Shulina thinks that if Fran's words are true, then the teacher has been spreading strange rumors about her behind her back. Thinking that she needs to find out why she is doing this, Shulina calls out to Fran and asks her if she can please follow her instructions carefully. Fran tells her that she'll do anything she asks, she'll follow her orders to the letter. In the night, Shulina tells the Duke to hurry and lie down there. The Duke mentions that he'll continue the book they started reading yesterday. Shulina lies on the bed, mentioning that she is ready. The little piglet Piaf kept sniffing and snuffing, following the scent of herbs. Piaf caught a whiff of a sweet fragrance coming from deep in the mountains. The Duke states this time it has to be herbs. Shulina asks if he found it. She seems very excited to look forward to what happened ahead. But when Piaf got closer and sniffed again, it wasn't herbs but sweet chocolate. Disappointed, Piaf grabbed the chocolate and set off once more. As Piaf continued on his journey, before they're intervened by the attendant, who informs His Majesty that an urgent matter has arisen that he must report. The Duke tells him to come back in an hour. The attendant apologizes, stating that it is really urgent. Shulina knows it's Cahill, and if he came all the way here, then it must be something very important. Shulina tells her dad that she thinks there's a problem and he should go. He apologizes to her and tells her he'll be back soon. She asks him to take care as she's on the bed, now thinking what should she do now. She turns around trying to sleep before she wonders if she should eavesdrop on their conversation. She tries doing that and hears that Viscount Baldwin and Baron Elga have just arrived. It said a serious issue has arisen in their territory. The Duke states, coming at this hour it must be quite serious. They mention being helpless against an outbreak of disease, and they hope for assistance from Valat. The Duke asks if they have determined the cause, but he responds no, they did not yet. Shulina wonders about the outbreak of the disease, thinking, but why did they come to see the Duke? She wonders if it is because they are connected to the ducal family, and the Duke is expected to handle that. The Duke asks where are they, and the attendant states that he has guided them to the first reception room for now. The Duke turns to look at Shulina. He is informed that the young Duke is with them at the moment. The Duke tells her that he is sorry, but it seems like they won't be able to continue the book tonight. He brings her inside the room as she questions who is there and asks him if she cannot go with him. He tells her it is too late, and she should go to the bed already. She tells him right and wishes him a good night. She then gets up from her bed and looks at the window, realizing there are a lot of people outside, thinking it seems very serious. Right then, her brother steps in, telling her to come here. She asked him what is going on. He tells her there are a lot of people outside right now and they should go and sneak a peek. She tells him that they will get in trouble. But he states even if they do get in trouble, he will take all the blame. They are told that they must not, but he questions why not, as they were already caught in the hallway. She tells them that it is time for the bed. He picks her up and tells her no matter what he is still going with Shushu. She tells him that if brother sees him right there, it won't be good. He responds that he did 1,000 perfect diagonal cuts today, and now he can carry her around easily. It is a secret adventure. It turns out that a whole village has been devastated by some disease, and they have already seen 2 villages wiped out. The villagers are still dying, and at this point it is certain to spread to all the lands of the duchy. He mentions that they must come up with a solution immediately. The progression of the disease is incredibly fast. Shulina and her brother are both paying attention to their conversation. The symptoms first were just high fever and vomiting, but from the 3rd day blood was pouring from their whole body. They wonder what should they do. The Duke is aware that the doctors cannot identify the cause either, so finding the source is the top priority. The Duke tells them that he will find the source by any means necessary. The person begs him to do so. Shulina thinks that it seems like it is a highly deadly and contagious plague. She also realizes that the symptoms seems very familiar. The prince mentions that it seems like a very serious outbreak. The Duke notices them and stands up as he steps towards them. He looks at both of them before he tells the knight this was largely her responsibility. She apologizes to him. Shulina tells the father that it is her fault as she could not sleep because it was very noisy outside. So she begged the prince to let her come downstairs. She tells him that it is all her fault, but the prince mentions it is not her fault. He tells that if he is going to scold someone, then he should scold him, because he is the one who kidnapped her and brought her down here. The Duke asks them if both of them are going to stay by his side, as they say yes. The Duke tells her to not get involved next time. The Duke introduces Viscount Baldwin and Baron Elgar to Shulina, telling her that they are the lords of the eastern land of the duchy. He tells them that this adorable girl is his daughter. Shulina greets them, telling them it is nice to meet them. She tells them to please continue their discussion as she will just stay here. They both find her very well behaved and adorable. They decide to continue their conversation. They mention that they do not know about the cost, but everyone died with blood pouring out of their bodies. The blood has flooded the entire village, like a lake, like a ruby lake disease. That is where she has heard it before. It was when Azella used her spirit power to solve the case. She was raised as a saint. Shulina wonders why is this happening way too soon. She is aware that the Ruby Lake disease appeared in the middle of the original story, and it was not in the duchy, but in one of the imperial concubines' lands. The Ruby Lake disease was actually caused by poison, and while tracing the source, father who confronted Azella confessed and was executed. Brother Windy became the new Duke. She is aware that it is Azella's charm ability. Her father was wrongly accused and executed by the spirit power. Shulina becomes really scared as the Duke asks her if she is feeling alright. The Duke suddenly commands to bring Baden here. She tells the Duke that she is alright. She is just a bit scared. Windy tells her that she might be scared because she is still a child and asks her to not worry too much. She asks the Duke what if he and brother get sick too. What about her friends at the orphanage? She is told that everything will be fine and it will be resolved soon. She wonders if that will really happen, and what if the situation gets worse and they trace the origin back to the imperial city. She wonders what if they blame her father and what if she loses her family again. The Duke tells her that he will take her back to her room before he questions if she would like to sleep with him tonight. She tells him no, she will go with Brother Dell. He becomes happy, saying that he was aware she would rely on him. She knows she chose him because he seems the least busy. Brother Dell asks her if she's okay, stating that he did not think she would be this scared. He tells her that tonight she can rely on him, and if the plague comes, he'll blow it away. He will protect her so the disease does not come near her. She is aware that honestly she is more worried about her family getting sick than her. She is aware that it is not a disease but a poison, knowing that the location has changed to the duchy. But judging by the situation, it is the same as the original where they poisoned the village. She knows there are too many strange things. She thinks that it is suspicious that the incident is happening years earlier than expected. She knows that Azella is still way too young to be active. She wonders why would they poison them before she gets up from the bed, thinking could it be. She asks her brother if someone was falsely accused. Who does he think would the culprit be? He inquires her what is she talking about all of a sudden. She tells him she's talking about the book that she has been reading recently. He questions would not it be the person who said at first that he is the culprit, or maybe the person who benefits the most is the culprit. She is aware that the person who was the first one to point out was Azella. She wonders if that means that the situation benefits the Empress, and in this cruel farce Azella becomes the saint. She cannot remember why she even read that story. She thinks if the original incident was concocted by the two of them, then the truth will be the same this time too. She thinks that the reason the incident happened so suddenly must be because of her, because she was adopted by the Duke's family, which is why it happened. Her brother asks her if she is okay seeing the reaction on her face. She wonders if it is because they could not take her spirit power. She begins to get worried, thinking what should she do, and if it is why they are attacking the duchy where she lives. She wonders how can she resolve this? Her brother keeps on looking at her. He becomes very worried before he hugs her and tells her it is okay, and he will protect her from anything. A new day begins as Fran tells her that the bait has taken the hook. Shulina asks her to tell her everything that happened. Fran mentions that she's so scared, stating that if she had known she was this kind of person, she would have never gotten close to her. Shulia asks so what happened. Right then, as she takes the bottle, she realizes that was close as the scent is very strong. She is aware that this could be a dangerous scent and she needs to be careful next time. She notices that the color has become transparent. Fran tells her that she told her to hide it well under her dressing table, and then she would be thrown out. The maid mentions that it probably is something dangerous, as just looking at it, it's a dangerous liquid. Shulina asks the maid if she brought it because she asked Alon. Fran mentions that she threatened to reveal that she gossiped about her if she didn't do it properly. She doesn't even know that Shulina has already forgiven her. Shulina tells her to tell the teacher that she hid it well, and if she gives Fran more tasks, carry them out and report back to her. Fran responds that she understands. Shulina wonders what could this be. That she wanted it hidden in her room. Thinking that she said Shulina will be thrown out of this veil, she wonders what kind of medicine is this. Before she realizes that she gets it now, she is aware she is Ruby Lake poison. After she was adopted, a large-scale poisoning death incident occurred in the Duke's territory. If the poison responsible for that is found in her room, she'll likely face exile at best, execution at worst. But because of her spirit power, they won't let her die just yet, considering she held the title of Duchess even briefly, and that she is still young. The chances are higher that she'll be exiled rather than executed. If the Empress were to take her away afterwards, she'd end up being dragged to the Marquisate, albeit through a different route than in the original story. In the original story, this is around this time Shulina was taken away from the orphanage to the Marquisate. But because she entered the Grand Duke's household, it became difficult to take her away. So they must be using the poison they had hidden earlier than planned. Nen asks her what's in her hand, as she doesn't usually take such things. She responds that Fran brought it for her. Nina asks if it is perfume and mentions that it seems a bit early for her to be using it. Shulina mentions that it isn't perfume. She knows if she says that it's poison, it'll surely make a problem. She tells Nina that the teacher told Fran to hide it in her room. Nina asks her what is it before she responds that she doesn't know either and states maybe she should go and ask her that herself. Nina asks how about she goes instead. Shulina states no, she'll go herself. Shulina steps into the room and greets the teacher. The teacher states that this isn't the classroom and this isn't the time for the lesson. Shulina tells her that she came because she has something to ask her. She grabs teacher's hand before the teacher pulls it away. The teacher apologizes to her and tells her that she is not really fond of being grabbed, so it's just a habit. Shulina responds that it is okay and notices that there isn't much luggage here. She wonders if the teacher was planning to leave right after releasing the poison from the start. Shulina states that her bag is out and asks her if she is going somewhere. The teacher does not respond as she thinks so. She does not have to answer that. Shulina then shows her the bottle, telling her she just remembered that she found this in her room and was curious about what it is. The teacher smirks before she states that she isn't sure and asks her why is she asking her about it. Shulina asks her if she really does not know. Stating that she thought she'd certainly know, Shulina tells the teacher that this poison smells exactly like the fragrance she wears. The maid steps in as the teacher questions in mind that she couldn't even manage to hide it properly in her room. The teacher finds her pathetic. The teacher states that there is no helping it. The professor then grabs Shulina, and she asks what is she doing. The professor yells at her, questioning how did she know it was poison. Shulina asks her if it was the Empress who ordered her. The professor called out to the maid, telling her to come here and confiscate the veil and hold her arm tightly. Fran did like that. Shulina asks her what is she trying to do. She notices a bag, and it's very big. She yelled at the professor that she was planning to kidnap her from the start, wasn't she, telling her that she is a very bad person. The professor told her that the bad person is her, stating that she is the one who dared to poison the Grand Duke's territory, killed many people, and then tried to run away, because she is the bad one here. The professor tells her that she is now a murderer who fled on her own, and the maid is also an accomplice and is involved with her. She asks the maid that if she wants to live, what should she do? The maid questions what should she do. The professor tells her to spread the rumor that the daughter of the Duke's family is cursed, that people started dying as soon as she arrived in the estate, then after some days testified that she found a vial of poison in her room. Shulina realizes that the only reason she met with people who disliked her was to only frame her for her poisoning crimes. The professor covers her mouth, telling her now it is time to disappear, but right then the Duke steps in the room. The brother goes to her, asking her if she is okay. He mentions that he should not have let it slide when she cried first. He should have gotten rid of the professor back then. Shulina tells her brother that she is alright. His Duke grabs the professor's neck as he is told that Shulina is watching. The Duke is very angry as he questions how dare she threaten his daughter. Right then Shulina yells at him that he cannot kill her yet, telling him that she is the culprit behind the poisoning incident, and she probably has an antidote, and they also need to ask her where she spread the poison. The Duke commands to take her to her room. Shulina calls out to her brother and tells him that she wants to take Fran with her too. Her brother tells her that it is her request, but he thinks that she needs to be sent to the present this time. Shulina tells him that she is a spy who approached the teacher on her orders. Earlier, Shulina had stated that she will go herself. She had told her that she would want her to bring the Duke and brother into the room when she was there. She then told Fran to come into the room after 5 minutes and try to act as if she is on the professor's side, as they need to find out what the teacher is thinking. They both mentioned that they understand. Shulina tells her brother that Fran was just fulfilling her duty. Fran has tears in her eyes. Later Shulina tells Fran that she could just act like she always did. Fran questions what does she mean? As she has always been like that? Shulina questioned if that is true. Before she stated actually it is not true, she mentions that earlier she thought her lady would abandon her, but she covered for her and she barely escaped with her life. She mentions that her lady could have just punished her full gossiping about her, but she generously forgives someone like her who was only thinking about what she could gain from her, telling her that she is totally absolved of her sins. Her brother stuff in the room and asks her how is she feeling. She questions how about the antidote and if he found it. She asked him if the professor revealed who was behind it. He tells her that they should focus on her condition first, but she mentions that she is alright. She does not feel anything at all. He is very frustrated as he questions why does this keep on happening to her. He mentions that she is not opening her mouth right now. She wonders how could that be, but the brother tells her that he is sure that it would be the Empress. She tells her brother that even if they know who it is, they cannot protest against it, since they do not have the way to confront the Empress, being aware that if they approach this carelessly, it would only lead to charges of defaming the royal family. She questions what about the antidote. He tells her that the antidote does not exist for this poison. She becomes shocked, questioning what does he mean, and how can it be possible. She asked him how did they treat it then. He tells her that it seems like she never planned for what could happen afterwards. She wonders how could this happen as she is royalty. Was not she supposed to be responsible for the caring of the people? Innocent people died coughing up blood. Even if they were the citizens of the Grand Duchess territory, they were still her people too. She is aware that this is unforgivable. Her brother tells her that father will be here soon. He is just finishing up determining the punishment and handling the aftermath. She states that he must be very busy. Her brother tells her that she almost got kidnapped today. She cannot get used to this, and it is not something to be taken lightly. She tells him that she had figured out who the culprit was, and she called Dad and her brother ahead of time so she thought nothing would happen. The Duke asked her what if the person who tried to kidnap her had been a mage. It is her father. He points out what if they had taken her before he could arrive? She tells him that is not what she means. He asked her what if they had put a blade on her throat. What if that person in desperation had put poison in her mouth? It could have been a very dangerous situation, she tells him, but thanks to that they got the information that they need. If she had not stepped in, no one would have suspected the teacher. She just wanted to save people. He tells her that no one wants their young daughter to be the one gathering information. He tells her if she had gotten hurt and gone missing. She realizes that he is very upset. She realizes that her dad is very upset, and it is not what she wanted. She was not really thinking of saving many people, she just didn't want her dad to suffer. She apologizes to him as he asks her to come to him. She goes to him as she hugs her tightly. The Duke tells Shulina that she must be very surprised, so they should go to bed early today. She asks him if he thinks that PF will be able to find herbs to cure the disease today. She is aware. That would be nice. In the story, baby pig PF sniffed around to find herbs. Sweet scent, spicy scent, sour scent. Various kinds of scents passed by PF's nose. Shulina then wonders what does it mean by passed by. She then realizes and then thinks, just like the sand does not linger but passes by, what if the poison in people's bodies could also pass through without staying? She begins to think about it as the Duke calls out to her. She thinks if the poison is not in the body, it is the same as not having consumed it, so she wonders would not the pain disappear. She then thinks about how it can be safely removed from the body. She looks at a place which the Duke wonders what she is looking at. Her attention is towards the bottle as the Duke picks it up. She thinks that is right. If they wrap the poison up like that and expel it, then Shulina's spirit power turns imagination into reality. If she can just imagine it specifically, whatever it is will come true. She asks her father to give her that. He questions what is this? As she tells him it is an important medium. She thinks by using the poison she has as a medium, she will track the poison in the body and make sure the poison is expelled. The object to encase and expel the poison should be small enough to swallow, and a round shape would be good to contain the poison. After using her magic, bubbles began to appear in the air, which surprised the Duke. She touches it and thinks that luckily it looks pretty sturdy, and it would be safe even if swallowed. She tells the Duke if they give this to the people who drank the poison, it will help separate and expel the poison from their bodies. She asks him to hurry and get this to the people. But right then she faints, causing the Duke to be shocked. She mutters if he thinks everyone will be okay. She even hopes that her dad does not have to suffer anymore. He responds, thanks to her, he won't have to. She asks him, really? He tells her that she's so small, not even fully grown, and yet she's worrying about her dad and working hard. She tells him she is fine, and she is just glad he can save everyone. She's in the newspaper as everyone is very happy for her, thinking that it turned out really well. The maid tells her that choosing this big ribbon dress was a stroke of genius. As expected, she has great taste. The other maid tells her she looks so much like a doll in the newspaper. She also mentions that she has to admit it with this article. Her existence will be known to the world, and the story of her helping to make the orb without mentioning the spirit power has suddenly made her a genius grand princess. Also, with the efforts of her dad to resolve the situation being highlighted, at least within the Grand Duchy, she has heard that their family's image is improving compared to before. The maid asks her if she knows that the Grand Duke family bought a huge number of newspapers this time. The other maid also informs her that the newspaper publisher must have been thrilled. She wonders if that is really the case. She then mentions that they only need enough to read, so why did they buy more? The maid mentions that it seems like they're collecting her article. They say all those newspapers went straight to the prince and the young master's room. Shulina wonders if it could be that conversation yesterday. She remembers her brother asking her father if buying the newspaper company was going well. He told him of course. This made her wonder if he was going into the newspaper business. She then thinks now if he's planning to buy the newspaper company because of her. She ponders that everything is too much. She asks the maid if both of them can make her look very, very pretty. They tell her that they will make her the prettiest ever and ask her where she is going. After a while, she runs to her father. He asks her that if they cannot finish touring the market today, they will come out again next time, so she should not run. She asks him really, but then she wonders that she is aware how busy he is too. Reading her a book every night and then going back to work is already too much on him. He tells her that he is a healthy knight who does not get tired. She knows this is a commemoration for solving the case. She wishes to enjoy their time together properly today. After some time, they step in a shop. She looks around and wonders why is everyone trembling at the sight of her father. She wishes for them to know that he is not a villain but a good person. She thinks he might have a little bit of the Grand Duchy's curse, but it's not a problem at all. Her father looks around as she wonders if he is used to this. She wonders how many people must have avoided him up until now, but he doesn't even seem bothered at all. He then looks at her expression and asks her what is wrong. He questions if she wants him to read the name of this candy. She just wishes to buy what they need and get out of here. She's aware today is their day, so it is not a time to be in a bad mood. The shopkeeper tells her if she sees something that she likes, she should please let her know. Shulina finds the mint flavor and thinks that it is not too sweet, so her father might like it. She asks her father how about they try that one? The shopkeeper asks them if they would like to try it. Her father tries it and mentions it's good. She thinks it looks like he really likes it. She tells the shopkeeper to pack all the mint flavors. The shopkeeper is a bit taken aback as she questions all of them. Her father looks at her with confusion as she takes something out of her purse. It is a little purse as she tells the shopkeeper to please pack some separately so they can take them right away and send the rest to the Grand Duchy. She ponders that she even got some pocket money from Lucy for this moment. The shopkeeper thanks them and tells them to come again as they step out of it. Shulina thanks her father very much. She tells her father that she wants to give this to him and takes it out. She knows this is the first thing she bought with her own money, and she wanted to give it to him. She wishes for him to have it while working as it will help him stay awake. Right then, someone bumps into her, which results in the box falling. The person stops. As she looks at the person, she thinks that it seems like she has seen him before. She looks at her gift as she thinks. For some reason, she feels uneasy. She then decides that for now, she should just pick up the candy. She tries to take a step ahead, but she realizes she cannot move her feet. She wonders why is she feeling this way. She thinks, what if he is someone that she has met before? Her father tells her to hold on as he'll pick it up for her. He gets down and picks it up. As the person stands there, she ponders that she does not like the situation. They both exchange some words as she wonders what are they talking about. She thinks if they know each other. Her father then calls out to her. He picks her up and tells her he'll buy her something else, so they should go now. She looks at the person as he takes her back. In the past, that person wonders that after hearing the news that the Grand Duke had caught the Empress's informant. To find out why the Empress sent a spy to the Grand Duchy, he discreetly sent people to investigate. The first report was that the spy had visited an orphanage, and it was an orphanage that only raised girls. At that moment, a bad feeling flashed through his mind. His child, the son Shu-Elv that he always imagined, might not be a son after all. After that, he found out all the rumors about a 6-year-old girl who was adopted by the Grand Duke's family, who came from the orphanage the spy visited. He is informed that as per the investigation, the child's name is Shulina. He then thinks, as he suspected, the child's name was not Shu-Elv. He thinks if it were a boy, Shu-Elf, if a daughter, Shulina. That's the name that he, his wife, and heroes had chosen together. He does not know how the lost child came to be called Shulina, but she was living with the very name they had given her, and yet he could not find her. He thinks if only he had found her and protected her properly, she would not have had to grow up in an orphanage. Thinking of that, he became so frustrated, realizing he could not sit still any longer. He headed straight for the Grand Duchy, just to meet his child a little sooner. He wonders if he finds her, what should he do first? Should he call her name or hug her or tell her that he is her dad? He wonders what will she say when he meets her. Will she say that she missed him, or will she blame him for coming so late? Back in the present, Shulina looks at him as he realizes he can recognize her at a glance. That is his daughter. The Duke tells Shulina that he will pick it up for her. That person was taken aback as he listens to the word daddy. He thinks in his joy of finding her, he had forgotten that she had been adopted by the Grand Duke's family. But now the years he could not protect her because of those two words stab at his heart again. As the Duke picks up the box, he asks him how he has been. Mentions it's been a long time, and he did not expect to see him like this. He ponders. Indeed, the Duke, Belot, known for his coldness, is living up to his reputation. He thinks he does not know how the Duke came to raise the child, but since the cold and distant Duke Belot is in charge, it seems it will be easy to get Shulina back. He wishes for her to just wait a little longer, and he will come back for her. He has frustration in his eyes as he ponders that Shulina is his daughter. He wonders if the Duke knows that she has real blood, and even after that, he is acting like this. He even asks him if he thinks he won't return her. He tells the Duke that Shulina is a princess and she has royal blood. The Duke asks him if that is the case, then why did he let her live in misery until now? The Duke reminds him for 6 years he did not find her. He could not even protect her. He cannot believe that his child lived in misery. The orphanage appeared to be abandoned and warm, and all the children seemed happy. So he thought that although Shulina grew up in an orphanage, she did not grow up unhappy. The Duke whispers to him and questions if he is now claiming parental rights over her. He then leaves and picks up Shulina. He calls her his daughter and tells her he will buy her something else, so they should go. His daughter wishes for her to not go. He wishes for her to, just for once, please look towards his way. He is staring at them as Shulina asks her dad to eat this candy. She even shows him a flower decoration and mentions that it is so pretty. He asks her if he should buy it for her. He realizes that she looks very happy with him. She is not in his arms, but in the arms of the Archduke. He clenches his fist, and anger takes all over him as he is aware that his child is still alive, so how dare they testify that a living child had died? He knows they even changed the gender, so he could not find out. He is aware from the beginning the Empress has been known to be an unapproachable woman. Even Harris's personal doctor for 10 years also lied. He trusted her as much as Harris trusted her. She told him it is definitely a prince. The Empress mother said that the queen was born dead, but he was actually born properly. Her Majesty the Empress passed away after childbirth, so the maid took care of the prince since early at dawn. She tells him they have conveyed the news of the prince's death to the Empress mother. After that, the funeral proceeded quickly according to the 3-day custom. The 3-day custom is when a child who dies immediately after birth must be burned within 3 days to return to God. Both Lucas and he felt the child's spirit power, and there was no contradiction in Amelia's statement about the birth of Shulina. However, if all of this is in collision with the Empress, he'll find her and kill her. After 6 years, he finally met the child he has been looking for. He will definitely get his child back by any means. Join the princess party. They tell the princess that she is looking very beautiful today. She thanks them and tells them that they are also very pretty, like flowers. She finds them very annoying as she bites her nail in frustration. She ponders it has been a while since she held a party, but why did her mom and dad go out today? She thinks it would have been nice if her brother was here. Then everyone would have looked up to them as cute and lovely siblings. Thinking how they can be so lovely and their brother-sister relationship is truly extraordinary. She thinks the foolish looking for people who manifest spirit power might have been put to sleep under mom and dad's edict. Born with the power that has to steal souls, it is fortunate that there was brilliant. But what to do in the future? She knows if a greedy child appears at the ecliptic after hearing mom and dad's edict. Though it is unfair and sad, she has to get along well with her. People said that commoners are usually greedy and have low intelligence. As a kind and elegant prince says, she has no choice but to take care of her. She knows being the perfect princess is really tiring. She thinks then she should start preparing now. She starts to clap and tells everyone since it was quite some time ago that they gathered like this, she would like to show them something fun. It is a bird. She uses her powers to make the birds sing with a sweet voice. Everyone is amazed to see her using the spirit powers. They wonder how can it be so mysterious. They think that the princess is like a forest spirit. They find her really beautiful. The bird tells her to not go to the person with the loudest sharing voice and give her gift. The bird goes to one of the girls as that girl thanks the princess. The princess asks anyone if any of them has heard of the person that mom and dad are looking for these days. A guy responds a new royal human-infested spirit power was discovered. He knows this is a great excitement for the empire. The princess frowns as she ponders. He did not understand her intention when she brought up the topic. She wonders what is the excitement for the empire. She thinks if she should embarrass him so that he never appears before her eyes again. She tells him how strange it is. Suddenly, a member of the royal family whose origin is unknown appears. She steps ahead and bumps into him, ignoring his existence. She questions if it is some kind of scheme. She mentions that anyway she has heard that they have excellent spirit power. Everyone is murmuring as she also mentions. Judging by the fact that they have not shown up until now, they probably are not noble, right? She finds it pitiful that a royal member has grown up with commoners. When they come to the castle, she will keep them close to her and cherish them. A collateral royal family member who grew up as a commoner without knowing their history. A child who may be an illegitimate child born as a result of a deviation from the royal family. She cannot accept that a child like that be put on the same level as her. In the end, that child is just a commoner who is no different from a scoundrel. She mentions they must have grown up in poverty, so she wants to meet them and help them. Everyone finds her like an angel and says that she has such a kind heart. She thinks even if that child will come to the imperial castle in the future, everyone will unconsciously think that she is a commoner princess who is taken care of by her. This makes her feel very better now. Meanwhile, Shulina tells the maid that she wants to go to the Archduke's archives room. She mentions that she wants to study the history of the Grand Duchy. She ponders, according to the novel, the Empress and Azuela will commit more evil deeds in the future, and they will raise their status by coming forward themselves. The biggest advantage she has is that she knows the original content, and if she uses this advantage to prevent the evil deeds, Azuela and the Empress will have no chance to build a positive image. The Archduke will naturally build his reputation, and if she remembers correctly, the next event is that she has to find information on the Forest of Monsters. As she reaches the library, she tells the maid that she will be here reading and the maid can attend to other matters or rest if she would like. The maid asks her if she is sure she will be alright without her. She tells the maid yes, and she should just come to get her before dinner. The maid responds of course, and if she needs anything, just call her. She thinks that she should just find some books now. She looks around and ponders everything is organized chronologically from the founder's time. It would have been easier to find things if it were alphabetized. What she finds it really strange that Lisa supposedly learned to read from a maid after being taken to the Marquess house, so how is she able to read now? It is as if the body remembers. She then thinks that is not important right now. The Forest of Monsters is the priority. Right then a book falls, catching her attention. She wonders why did the book fell, thinking if someone is there. She thinks that she needs to check what it is. She decides to step ahead and thinks she should check if there's a thief. She looks towards that place and finds that child again, noticing his eyes. She calls out to him and asks him who is he. He does not respond and stares at her as she runs to the other side and realizes that he disappeared again. She wonders if it could be a ghost. She becomes totally frightened as she tells herself she's not scared and ghosts are not scary. She knows there is no such thing and it is not a ghost. Right then her attention turns to the book where it is written that a rift to another world has appeared. She thinks she has never heard of another world existing, but if it's in the Grand Duke's library, it must be an important book. She puts it on the table and opens it. She knows there might be some crucial information in here. It is written that a rift to another world has appeared in the forest. Mana tends to move from dense areas to sparse ones, and all the world's mana is being endlessly sucked into the rift to the other world. She realized this. This is it. The forest mentioned here must be the Forest of Monsters. But then she thinks, if that child dropped this book, she wonders why does he keep helping her. She looks around and questions if he is still here. But there is no response. She thanks him for the help though. She ponders. As mana accumulates, the forest becomes a place where it is easy to use magic, but difficult to detect it. Additionally, a phenomenon where plants and animals transform into monsters has been observed is similar to how humans become transcendents as mana accumulates in their bodies. However, the monsters are unable to leave the forest as if there is a barrier. But for the week leading up to the New Year's festival, the monsters will recklessly burst out. This is something Vela is responsible for, she thinks as expected. Even though it is simply called the forest here, it is definitely talking about the Forest of Monsters. But she wonders, why is the Grand Duke's family responsible for this? Is it because of their duty as the rulers of the duchy? She does not know the details, but she thinks she understands why the Empress chose the Forest of Monsters as the crime scene. It is likely because it is a place where mana accumulates, making it easier to use magic. According to the novel, the monsters that appear in the forest are described as resembling massive tigers, as if they are that big. Her father must have led the subjugation. They probably were not prepared for the monsters that appeared after the subjugation. Normally, no monsters would appear until after the New Year's festival. Everyone was likely to be relieved, which is why the damage was even greater. She wonders if she should suggest continuing the subjugation even after the New Year's festival. But unless she reveals the future, they will just ask why she's making such a request. She wonders why do they fight among themselves in the capital, while the citizens of the Empire and the Grand Duchy become the targets of their crimes. She questions where is the royal family's responsibility in all of this? She becomes quite frustrated as she tells herself it is okay as there should still be time. She's the only one who knows what the monsters look like, and she has to do something no matter what. As she steps outside, she finds the maid standing. She tells the maid that she told her not to wait for her. The maid mentions that serving her is her top priority, and there is still some time before dinner. So what would she like to do? She ponders that she thought she'd look into it tomorrow since it is getting late. but it's better to prepare as soon as possible. She asks the maid to please call Brother Windy. Her brother appears as he mentions he's coming in for a moment. He tells her that he requested the information she asked for from the guild and received it. She tells him that was incredibly fast, and it has only been 3 hours since she mentioned it. She even thanks him for it. He tells Certus a request from her, of course, he had to fulfill it, and the information contains everything about the tower's mages who visited the Grand Duchies. He asks her if she wanted the information because of her, didn't she? She tells him yes. Teacher Lima was captured, but the mastermind is a royal, so they cannot touch them. The Empress spread poison in the Grand Duchy since she knows she is here, so she might try something else. And she is using mages as her messengers, so she had to check just in case. He thinks that he felt it during the Lima incident as well. Shulina is far too action-driven. If something happens again, she will try to handle it herself. He's aware it is far too dangerous. He calls out to her and tells her if this is not a matter of curiosity from her studies, but something more serious, he would prefer if she stayed out of dangerous affairs. He tells her it is fine to take an interest, but taking action herself is unacceptable. She calls out to him, but he tells her that father and he will protect her. She tells him it is her responsibility too. He responds that he understands, but if she gets hurt their family will be devastated, and if anything happens, she should please tell him. He mentions that they are family and protecting her is what matters the most. He asks her if she understands. She tells him yes, she does. She thinks about the report on the Tower of Magic. The White Tower is part of the Empress faction. The White Tower Mage specializes in healing magic. But she wonders, what business could they have in the Grand Duchy? Considering the timing, the Empress must have sent them to create monsters in the Forest of Beasts. According to the book she read in the archives, when mana accumulates, the plants and animals transform into monsters. However, there would not have been enough time to create monsters after the subjugation, and attempting to create them during the subjugation would be too risky. Forcefully inject mana into animals to create monsters. The subjugation is approaching, preparing the subjugation force, and then the monsters have been created without being detected. She thinks they must have slowly advanced the transformation to ensure the monsters were completed after the subjugation. She thinks that she should tell her father about this. She wonders if there is a way to get to the Forest of the Beasts. She thinks if her father and her brothers will let a child like her go to the forest alone. She is also aware that she even promised her brother that she will take care, and she cannot sneak out. She wonders if there's any way to bring her father and her brothers along. Right then, someone knocks on the door. It is her maid, as her maid asks her if she's not feeling tired. She responds that is not the case, as the maid tells her she has been reading in the archives earlier and now she is sitting at the desk again. The maid mentions that studying is good, but she should not push herself too hard. She thinks of an idea. Realizing if she says she wants to study the forest, they might just let her go. She asks the maid if she could go and prepare some paper and gemstone powder for the invitations. It is dinner time as she calls out to her father and brothers. Her father tells her that she needs to finish all her food and eating will help her grow taller and stay healthy. She tells him, but she is already full and there's something she would like to give him instead. She takes it out as she thinks she's so nervous since she doesn't usually do things like this. She tells them that her birthday is coming up soon, and she made this because she wants them to spend the time together. She realizes she just said it, and she actually asked them to celebrate her birthday. It is the first time she's ever asked for a birthday celebration. She's so nervous as she wonders if they'll accept it. Her brother asks her it is her birthday. They ask Allie for birthdays on New Year's Day. January 1st is her birthday as she asks them to celebrate it with her. She tells them that it's probably not the day she was born, it is the day she was found at the orphanage, so it became her birthday. Her father tells her just such a lovely invitation. She thinks it seems like they like the invitation and finds it a relief. They start to think about the most extravagant gift in the world. Her father states that they should use her birthday as a reason for skipping this year's New Year's festival. She realizes their reactions are way over the top. She tells them spending time together is more than enough for her birthday, but instead there is something she would like from all of them. Her father asks her what could it be. She tells them she has not been part of the Grand Duchy for long, so she wants to study the history of their family, as after all history is the root of the Grand Duchy. She is aware with that response, they might just agree. She tells them early in the archives she read about the Forest of Beasts, and she would love for them to go on an exploration trip there like a picnic. Everyone tells them it is dangerous and she can absolutely not do it, and not until the subjugation is complete. She wishes for everyone to calm down. They tell her they will only visit the safe entrance area, and she tells them everyone will be there to protect her. And of course, she'll protect everyone too. She tells her father that she is begging him. She knows her target is her father, as if she can convince him, the rest will follow. She knows he has only raised sons, so he has no immunity to daughters. He rarely experienced any form of cuteness or affection, and he will eventually give in. He tells her this is the first gift that she has ever asked for, and she's not asking to destroy the entire forest just for them to go and see it together, so how could he refuse? She gets really excited. Both of her sons are shocked. He tells her he has made up his mind to raise her so that she can do anything that she wishes. She can freely pursue what she wants, and he will simply watch over her, but she must never act on her own. She should stay by his side at all times. He asks her if she understands. She tells him yes as she hugs him tightly. She mentions she will always stay by his side. She thinks that she will protect this place no matter what, and she will protect her father and her brothers, all of them, as they leave for the journey. Her father asks her what does she think. It is not as impressive as she had thought. She ponders that even outside the entrance she could not faintly feel something, but now that she's inside, the feeling is even stranger. It is as if someone is calling her, and her heart is pounding. Her brothers ask her what is going on with her as she tells them it is nothing. She thinks it must be in her imagination and she should not make them worry. Right then she feels something. It seems to be a monster who tries to attack her as she realizes it is coming.